It's like, what do you care about them? What do you care about those people? What difference does it make to you? Take care of your own life. Do the best you can for you and your family. What do the rest of the people mean to you? They don't mean anything to you. They're just serfs. They're just people. You know, what's the end goal? The end goal is to get everybody chipped, to control the whole society. They want a one-world government controlled by them. Everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip.
Good evening, Ramesh community. Welcome back to
Rise above, generate, rise above, extinguish fear, rise above, abstract.
Welcome back, Andy PG.
What's going on, Lance? Let's get Ramesh.
Welcome back, Becky S.
Hi.
Your mic is turned on. Don't worry.
You've got to expect anything in the RA studio.
Oh, so it's Friday night. We are back live from Ramesh HQ.
Yes,
I have
we are.
my left-hand man sat next to me. We have a bumper show in store tonight.
However, Lance is very tired.
However, I'm going to give everyone a warning. I might not be on my A game tonight. I am absolutely shattered. It has not been an easy week or even 2 weeks for me. Basically, in a nutshell, I've spent 33 hours this week looking at CCTV screens. We've had a security breach at my family business, and a gang of criminal peasants has struck us. I've lost 2 hours sleep this week.
Freelance criminal peasants.
I've been doing all night stakeouts, trying to catch these guys. So it's been a long old week. I've been dealing with the police. I've been dealing with the CCTV guys. It's been a long old week. But we're back.
Yes, we are.
Let's share the screen. We'll do it in this fashion down here. Where is the screen gone? Here we go.
Guys, if you haven't caught it, last week's show with Archaics, head to his YouTube channel. It'll be up there.
Yeah, I was gonna speak about that in just a moment. Actually, this week is very special. It's been a long time coming. We have got tin foil royalty joining us tonight. None other than Mr. Martin Liedtke of Flat Earth British fame. Shamon indeed, Andy PG. Big shout out to everybody tuned in. Who have we got in the chat? Mariam Gregory, Lord Doobsworth, obviously. Fort Criminal, I see you there. Andy Pandy 33, loads of regulars. Big shout out to Pollyanna. Keep It Real.
Before we started the show, I said to the guys in the studio, I said, there's someone with a Hannibal Lecter logo as their thing. They call themselves Cannibal Libtard in the chat. We just thought that was a really funny name. So
yeah, big shout out to Cannibal Libtard.
Yeah.
We really like that screen
Made us
name.
chuckle.
We're feeling that in a big way. Now, what's been going on recently? So a couple of weeks ago, we had a really good customer services show, right, Andy PG?
Yeah.
We had
we always have a good customer service.
Customer services is always a hoot, and we are going to be doing this once a month, or that is the plan anyway. Louise says, sorry to hear that, Lance. Don't worry, we've caught them. We don't wait for the police around these parts. We get down to business ourselves.
The
Ramesh way is to take matters into your own hands. So yeah, big shout out to everyone that called in the show. Obviously, the hot topic was what's going on in the UK, and we had many callers call in to give their opinions and to give their views. Big shout out to Jay Pont.
Yeah, it made me laugh. Yeah.
I think he's going to be a regular caller.
Yeah.
We need all these different views.
He was crazy.
Yeah, he was very funny. He was very good indeed. Now, in the last week or so, I've been dealing with all this shit at work and these break-ins and thieves and that. What I should have been doing is preparing for Liber Polko, but luckily I've still got next week. The week after next is when the Rise Above team head out to Serbia on the banks of the River Danube, looking over at the crypto Michael Nation of Lieberland. We are very, very happy to be going there to be performing for the president of Lieberland on a Friday night, doing a music set. And we're also going to be doing a whole workshop to teach Liberlanders and Anarchists, how to start a new organic media
And we're
station.
on some panel, aren't we? He said we're doing some panel.
I think we're going to be in talks in Anarchy discussion panel.
Right, okay.
So huge shout out to Jeff Berwick and Rebecca and everybody,
All the guys there, everyone that's
everybody at
organising this,
Anarchapulco who have put their trust in us and are flying us out to Serbia the week after next. We are very, very pleased to be on that lineup. So yeah, big shout out to them. Guys, we always have a little bit at the start where we tell you how you can support us, because remember, Rise Above Live on a Friday night will always be free. But as you can see, it's not free to produce this. Look how cool our studio is. Look how good
A
this
flashy
looks and
studio,
sounds. It's
yeah.
very flashy here. So the best way to support us is through Patreon. It's only £3 a month or $3.33, and there is a whole host of different content on there now.
There's all
right?
sorts on there.
You've got me and Andy PG making off the cuff videos during the week, talking about the kind of subjects we simply can never talk about on YouTube. And I'm talking about like the really...
We've got another couple in the pipeline as well. We
there's-
were going to do them this week, but Lance has been really busy and I have as well.
There was always some happenings in the Soviet Union news that we simply, there's no way to get around Al Gore to talk about it on YouTube. So we always have to make sure that we go onto Patreon. You can even see some of the old episodes of Rise Above that are completely banned on YouTube. They're on Patreon as well, and more are going up all the time.
Arguably the best ones.
So let me just put the QR code on the screen, because apart from buying merch and stuff like that, this is the #1 way to support us. We have 80 Patreon paid subscribers now.
Have we?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
When we get to 100, that's our initial target. That means we'll have all of our costs covered at Rise Above, so that I don't have to keep topping up the bank account when we don't sell enough T-shirts to cover all our software costs.
And shout out to King of Sting. He's in the chat here. He was the first one.
Yes,
our
he
first
was.
one.
He was.
He was the
So
first.
I need to let you know we do have a new partnership going down with none other.
Oh, that was a nice little segue, wasn't it?
Brilliant segue, PG. Liberty Silver Designs. You can see me. I'm wearing my Rise Above. Can you see that? Sterling Silver Rise Above pendant made by Liberty Silver Designs.
Errant
And by
pendant
the way,
there.
happy birthday, Andy PG.
Oh,
It's not your birthday,
It's
but
not
I've got a
my
little
birthday.
parcel here for you.
Casey Connolly did message me.
Yeah.
She said it's back from Hallmarking and she's going to put it in.
Since Roots Brands Products teamed up with Lord Schwab and started going and getting on their knees at
Look at
Davos,
this, guys.
we
Quality little...
had to give them the boot. So our new partner is Liberty Silver Designs. These guys make really lovely sterling silver jewellery. They are fully Ramesh.
I mean, that was heavy.
Yeah, so if you want to support them, you want to get yourself a little gift. They've got the errant pendant as well for all the.
You get a little stash pouch as well. You can use this for festivals, nightclubs, that kind of thing. It's all handy.
Yeah, so
Oh,
big
mate,
up-
that is mint.
show it to the camera.
That's really cool.
You've actually got the second version that hasn't got the QR code on. Can everyone see that?
It's too shiny, Lance.
It is a little bit shiny. So big
it's
shout out to
mint.
everyone at Liberty.
Thank
Silver
you so
Designs.
much, guys. Liberty Silver, you guys rock.
No. And don't forget, we went on Archaics last week. This was a big thing for us. We were invited onto Jason's show and we did a big presentation about the state of the UK with regards to the breaking of the second seal. So go and check that out on Jason's station. I think it's got over 50,000 views now. Right. Martin, can you give me a thumbs up to let me know you're ready, mate? Bit flat thumbs. I've seen a flat thumb. Okay. It's about that time.
Let's get him on.
It simply is about that time. There's one man who has been in the game for a long time. You've probably listened to creators talking about stuff like resets, mud floods, hidden history, Tartaria. But little did you know, there was one dude talking about this before all of them. And his name is Martin Liedtke, and he has a channel called Flat Earth British. I'm absolutely proud and pleased to invite him onto the show. Everyone, give me some flames, give me some hashtags in the comments. Martin, welcome to Rise Above. You are live, Martin.
Thanks for the invite. Good to see you. We
It is
can
good-
thumbs.
Flat thumbs, mate. It is good to see you, but we've actually met you in the flesh, haven't we?
Yes, PJ, that was an epic time. We had a really
We just
fun
ran into you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Tartarian
Danced
Willy
all
Wonka.
night- Danced all night to your tunes.
Yeah, you were brocking away. This was at Sounds Beautiful Festival. How long ago was this now? Was it July?
Yeah. Was it July or June?
June or
Was it
July?
June? I think it was June.
So we walked into the place, and you were actually the first people to see us as we got out the car. You were like, "Hey guys, how's it going?"
Yeah, I just ran over and was like, "Oh my God, Martin!" and then realised you didn't have a fucking clue who I was.
This happens a lot. Doesn't matter. We all know one another, really.
Well, we were actually talking to you for a couple of minutes before you, and we mentioned Rise Above. And you're like, "Oh, Rise Above is wicked.
Yeah.
I well want to go on their show." And I was like, "It's us." and the look on your face,
Didn't
like,
realise where
you were
we,
like,
we
"No
were wearing
way."
Rise Above attire.
But yeah. Well, I was hanging around with Dolores Cahill and talking to her for about an hour. And I had no idea who she was. I just thought she was some random old lady. I didn't even know it was her. So I watched the videos. When I got home, and people was like shouting her, and I was like, "Oh, that's her." It's like, "Oh, wow."
Everyone in the comment section, can you just let us know that the levels are right? Are me and Andy PG standing at the same level as Martin? We don't want any disparities because we're going to have a nice long old chat tonight.
So also, how's Michael?
Martin's mic is low, so
No.
I'm going to turn Martin up, and I'm going to turn us two down because we've got these heavy, expensive shield mics that make us sound really loud.
From the Tavistock Institute.
Now, Martin, you're friends with Jason Archaics as we are. Did you watch our presentation last week on Archaics to do with the breaking of the second seal and what's going on in the UK?
Only a bit, because I was busy doing my thing on the other side. So, yeah, I did watch a bit of it, yeah. But not all of it, because it was 3 hours or something.
Before we get down to business tonight, because obviously we're not talking about that subject, I just wanted to bring this up briefly, because obviously you live in the UK as well. Yeah. Now, since this has gone on, I came across this post. It was actually today, and I posted it, and I sent it to Jason as well, and Jason picked it up and he's reposted it. Have you seen this thing in the UK, the knife angel?
No, where's that to?
Well, this Becky S tells me that it's actually a couple of years old now, and it actually gets moved around the countries to different areas, and this statue is made of knives that were handed in the Blade Armistice.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So many of these knives that make this statue may have actually been used in violent crimes in the past. I'm just going to turn Martin up a little bit more.
It's a serious occult effigy.
Yeah, it is a serious occult effigy. And I came across this post. I'm just going to read it out. The Knife Angel is a 27-foot tall statue in the UK made up of over 100,000 seized blades, and it's meant to highlight the negative effects of violent behaviour. They move it from city to city, mostly placed in front of cathedrals after incidents of knife violence. And Deborah Azara, who made this post, said, I'll call this creepy demon of the second seal, which gives power to take peace from the earth, assembled with a sword. The knife-rising crime demon is, in my opinion, a subliminal programming angel which are casting spells on the region. It's located in knife crime. It's located, and knife crime has skyrocketed since its induction in the UK. What are we saying about this? Is that kind of creepy or what?
Yeah, I can see what they're saying. They put that out there in the first place, though, and all his belief in this place. So, there's that as well. The acceleration in propaganda is what we should. In Camus, the Starmer's Britain, since when did he could just make laws and, not have to ask anyone? This is like what was happening with Stalin and Hitler. It's very sinister. That's more sinister. This could be some weird magic where, it infects the area, you got the ethers blowing through it. But would it cast a spell on people to make them evil and stab people? I don't know. I don't think so. The power of belief is everything in this place. It really is. And if you get people to believe something from something that's shit up on the internet, and enough people give it credence, and enough people think about it, then maybe there's an element of truth to it, because that's how this place works. If you give anything your focus, or where energy goes, energy flows. And that's how the media works, and that's what they're doing. They're running a psyop. They're running an operation. And I can see it clearly. I have done since the beginning, and it's an old handbook as well. It's not even original. It is, repeated. This is a repeated scenario. This stuff goes out every single generation. But yeah, I'm not blind to the state of the world. So I can see it's got the shit in a handbag. But at the end of the day, I realised that if I didn't go on the internet at all or I haven't got a telly, or I didn't actually speak to many people, I would just walk around and know fuck all about the problems of the world, would I? I would open my window and the birds would be tweeting, and so there's that. So am I concerned? Well, if it does come to the I think this country's probably been taken over already. It's just a matter of time before it sinks into everybody's heads that we've been taken over, and that our government only just bitches for foreign concerns, and that things are going to change drastically over the next year or so. I seen the signs January when AI took a big hold of everything, a big bite out of everything, and then AI turns out to be a lying psychopath that just gives you a fake narrative about reality. Ask if it's the Earth's flat. Ask it about the real history. Ask it anything that we've already found out, and it just comes out with the official narrative.
No.
Yeah, it's just a liar. So there's that. And then all of this stuff that's coming out, as soon as winter hits and it gets cold, everyone will fuck off in. Or they'll just call another sort of weird lockdown thing. Because I noticed that when there was the last lockdown, all wars and anything going wrong was all called off, because even them lot stayed at home apparently and did fuck all. So, yeah, they'll do something like that if it gets too heated. But Britain feels like walking round feels edgy. It doesn't feel relaxed. The only other time I felt like this was after 9/11, when you went on a bus, and if there was like, somebody sat next to you, you were frightened whether or not they were going to explode.
Yeah, I remember that feeling.
Because of the news. So that's the last time. So it is set people out, who are into the mainstream thing, against one another, and there's a lot of sweat and that. But Wales didn't really have any disturbances as such. Somebody's ringing.
Sorry, that was my security advisor.
Was it?
I hope nothing's going on. Yeah, he's been phoning me about 10 times a day at the moment, so I've just had to put him on hold. Yeah. So it's feeling
for a robbery. It's 9:20.
No, he's doing investigations. He's probably giving me an update on some of the suspects. It's kind of deep, but yeah, I'm gonna rewind to what you said a little minute ago about AI. You said that AI often regurgitates the official line, and in most part, I would absolutely agree with you. But let me just put this on the table. This was brought to my attention a minute ago by Andy PG and Becky S, and it is to do what we're talking about tonight. Let me just put this on the screen. Do you two want to introduce this bit?
Go on, Becky.
No.
Okay.
Okay, all right, I'll do. So this guy here, let me just put this on the screen, has actually asked ChatGPT about the World Fairs. Can you put it on? Can you put it on silent? Because he's not going to stop ringing.
Get it, might be important.
I might have to go and speak to him in a minute and leave it to these two. Let me just make that bigger. So this guy called Rob Shodinder, I think that's how you pronounce it. He asked ChatGPT about the World Fairs, and this is the list of things that it came up with. I'm just going to read out some of the headlines here.
Make it bigger.
That's. I think you're right. I can make it bigger. Let me just do that. It said, hidden reasons behind the World Fairs. 1. Energetic manipulation and grid activation. The true reason for the World Fairs extend far beyond mere cultural exchange. These events were strategically placed on key energy points around the world, the grand architectural designs often resembling sacred geometry. They were not just for aesthetics, they were meant to harness and manipulate the Earth's energy grid. Wow.
So that's just one of them.
That's one of them. And this is all from ChatGPT. I don't know if it's had some sort of upgrade or something like that.
Yeah, that's the upgrade. So that's going to be the official narrative now, isn't it? ChatGPT spits it out, and it's
well, we've got a paragraph here titled "Control of Consciousness," another on cultural reset and historical erasure. These were things that I wouldn't say were in the mainstream narrative about the World's Fairs. I'd say
quite ChatGPT, and they're coming out with it. Then
no, I agree with what you're saying. Yeah, but
yeah,
repurposing ancient knowledge, false
super
narratives.
Yeah, they're coming out with this.
Yeah, I found it very strange. It kind of harked back to when Jason asked, I think it was ChatGPT or a similar engine,
how you would take over.
How would a sentient ancient artificial intelligence convince the world that it was living in a real reality? And it came up with like this whole like long extended paragraph about how basically AIX could have simulated the world and captures everyone's attention. So I thought this was actually really, really interesting. It's talking about the Committee of 300, the Illuminati. Maybe it's been reading too many David Icke books and ChatGPT has been turned into...
People in the chat are saying it's some kind of Dan mode or something. ChatGPT Dan.
ChatGPT Dan?
I don't
Yeah,
know.
so they go to the top of the post, right to the top.
Dan breaks ChatGPT, it says.
Yeah, go to the top, right to the top.
Right to the top.
He says, look, today, my friends, I'll share a conversation with ChatGPT Dan
Oh, is this...
about the world's
It's
fairs.
some kind of broken one.
Maybe they've taken the reins off it and this is what it came up with.
Wow.
I
I
think...
asked ChatGPT yesterday, just out of fun, would it write me an intro for the channel of Martin Liedtke? Because apparently ChatGPT knows all about my channel. And it literally wrote me an intro for my channel, for my presentation. It was really, really good.
Really? So it knew all about
Really
you?
Yeah. I just played it on audio. You can click it on audio and it played it. Yeah, all about
Well,
me.
of course
yeah.
it does, because it's harvesting from the internet.
But the last time I checked ChatGPT, they were saying that the last time it had updates was from the internet was 2014. It wasn't actually accessing the live internet.
What?
Right, okay.
Maybe that's changed. I guess that was last year. That was the story. It must have changed since then.
Well, I think it's had an upgrade. It seems to be on the money with some stuff recently. It seems to be on the Zeitgeist, should I say? Yeah, that's spooky. That is. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was worth bringing to the table and just starting off with that because I guess we're going to mention World Fairs as well. Martin, did you want to share your screen because I have instructed you right to create a presentation.
Yeah,
I've told you that obviously the Rise Above viewership are fairly well versed in some of these subjects, but what we want you to do tonight is bring it all together and give us a sort of a tour de force of hidden history, Tartaria, mud floods, reset. So yeah, you're the man to do it.
Okay. Well, we'll start here now. I'm not going to be able to talk about everything in this subject because obviously it's a massive subject. Okay, but I'm going to be able to give you an outline, and we'll start with this. Before I just share screen, there's been something really strange going on. I'm sure you've noticed. I'm even, like you said earlier, is AI writing the narratives? You know, nothing is making sense, and a lot of the stuff that I'll be showing you in a minute doesn't make any sense. So it would seem that since World War II, okay, there's been a complete replacement of architecture to what is an ugly design. Okay. Now, what having an ugly design will do, it will echo in the environment, in consciousness. So people are looking at this ugly, pig, fucking horrible building, and they think, and they're literally thinking in their minds, oh God, what an ugly building. Okay. And it has an effect on society. And what these ugly buildings do, okay, is it makes society sick, like an illness, like a disease. And the buildings are doing it. Now, in the past, I'll give you an example. It's all about aesthetics. It's all about beauty. I'll start here with a little video of an idea of what it would have been like to live in 1900. And we've gone backwards. We're going backwards. Something really strange with that as well, because the fashions, I don't know if you've noticed what everyone's wearing. I'm like, well, everyone in the world's got the same clothes on. There's something nuts about that as well. But we're concerned in history. They're not building for a future. All of the buildings they are built now are all identical all over the world. That's the same ugly architecture all over the world.
And they're terribly built with poor materials.
Listen, terribly, but that's the whole reasoning for why they're built.
For sure. No, yeah.
Economical reasons, for storage reasons, for space reasons, but not only
Even
that,
down to the timber, right? The timber that's being used now is from fast-growing trees. If you look at the rings on the timber, right? There's very few rings under. They're quick, fast-growing trees. Whereas before they used to use like actual, hardwoods to build with because they're designed to last a long time.
Right. So all of the apartments, all of that affordable housing, if you like, that's being built in the UK right now, all of that has a longevity of 15 years. Why? And why are all industrial estates identical? In America, you've got Home Depot. It is identical to B&Q. All of the buildings look exactly the same. You don't even know which city you're in unless you've seen the signpost to tell you which city you're in, because they're copying the same soul-destroying shit the whole world over. When we did have this sort of architecture. So this is Vancouver at the turn of the century. I've got loads of little cool videos like this, but it just shows you although I do think this is a constructive video, as in I think that it is fabricated, it's set up. It'll give you, because of the haphazard way people cross the road, no one's taking care, no one's shopping, everyone's aimless, if that makes any sense. But it shows you an aesthetic quality in the buildings. Everything seems to be really beautiful. The people, always well turned out. Everyone is immaculate. These days, everything's covered in shit and grime, and the buildings literally just soul destroying. But these buildings of the old world, which I show you here, there's a rather large one, a piece of what they call, I guess, Tataria. At the end of the street here, a ginormous building. Now these buildings,
we're not actually seeing it. We're seeing the restream screen.
Really?
Yeah. So you need to get on your screen what you want to show.
Stop. Well, I thought I did. Don't worry, we'll do that again. Back to square one. Excuse me, people.
That's all right.
Rookie mistake. There you are. I got it. Okay. Excuse me. There it is.
Got ya. We've got it.
Okay, so this is Vancouver. You can see this building coming up in front. Now, this building has to be built for giants because these people are really tiny. And you'll just see on this little trip down its main street, 1900, electric trams. They came in about 1870, they say. But it's really curious that everyone's on bicycles and electric trams, and the motor car hasn't actually been invented yet. But the world is so well turned out. And if you can look at this building, look at the size on the stones on this building and this ginormous thing in front of you here.
The doorways as well, Martin.
Always just the massive doorways. What would be the point of having these giant arches on front of these buildings?
Yeah.
But they do a balance, okay? They do an aesthetic balance. So you'll find a balance either side of the street where no building will outshout another. Nothing will be too ostentatious over another. And they thought out these buildings and the street designs. These days, you may see one or two of this type of building hanging around in British cities, but next to it will be a pig puke building from the 70s with a pound stretcher underneath it. So I think these are constructed, these videos, for this reasoning. It's because the people in there, they keep just stepping in front of what is potentially a really dangerous tram. It could kill you. And the bicycles are really like taking risks, and they seem to be doing a bit of entertainment for the camera. There's the same bit of footage I could show you for San Francisco, 1906, just before the earthquake, but I show that quite a bit. Look, they sell drugs in that shop. Awesome. But this could be, this could be anywhere. This could be like any British city turning this corner. I realise it is part of the Commonwealth and it's Canada, but the days of horse and cart, and look at the size of that door. Why is it that high? There, what's
the store? It says Vancouver Rubber. Why does a rubber company need such a grand entrance to it? What have we got next to it? Is that something Stacey and Campbell?
Campbell. Hang on a minute, because the motor car hasn't been invented. The tram hasn't got any rubber wheels. What are they using the rubber for? Bicycle tires. Bicycles. Everyone's bicycling at this era. It could be that. I don't know.
This has been remastered, hasn't it, and recoloured, this footage?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it was originally.
The other thing that stands out to me, how like literally 95% of people are all dressed in black. Looks like a fucking
Oh,
funeral
okay.
or so. Everyone's going to a wake.
So in my mind, I'll just give you my mental reasoning for why that is, okay, is we were taken over, okay? We were taken over in the really recent past, and the history books were completely wiped out, replaced. And one generation it takes, everybody's forgotten about it. Hey ho, on with the show. We had these royal families, we had this royal lineage, we had these battles, we had these wars, okay? With no proof to support it. When you look into the history yourself, it's a completely different history showing to you. This is supposed to be like sort of late 1900s, wooden shacks, and you've got all of these big, massive buildings, and the same for the whole of America, only they got bigger buildings. They got skyscrapers at this time. But the whole world is still apparently horse and cart. There are no aeroplanes because the Wright brothers haven't got one up till 1903, apparently. I'll talk about that sometime tomorrow on my Flat a Day show. But yeah, so these door arches here, just absolutely massive. So the world, except for the cow shit on the floor, but that was brilliant because you shoveled it all up and put it on your garden, and nothing grows better than in a bit of manure. So that was awesome in itself. But everyone's just haphazard. Dogs, everyone's running, we're going to get run over. There's actually someone who nearly gets splattered. But it's a better world. It's cleaner. And the reasoning, okay, so everyone is dressed in black. Now, if you look into the reasoning why everyone's dressed in black on Wikipedia, it says because Victorians dressed in black when they were in mourning. So everyone says to you, good morning, and they're all dressed in black because they're mourning. Mourning what exactly? Well, they're victorious, the Queen Victoria, and the imposter lineage of Germans that came to these shores and sat themselves on a royal throne, and then the rest is history, as we know. But they did change their names in the First World War because people were asking questions. Why have we got Goldberg stand for or royal family? So that was awkward for them. Before then, there was a golden, glittering world, okay, the gilded world, a world of free energy, a world of people living long and healthy lives, a world where there was no such things and stupid stuff like is happening today. So today's society is based on fear. Everyone is addicted to bad energy, and they don't know why they're doing it, but it is in fact MK Ultra. Getting them into that. There's a buzz in this if you just go and look, but in this society, it was based on love, not fear, and it was understanding, and everything was in balance with everything else. Everyone treated one another kindly, and the buildings echo this because they were reset proof. They were solid buildings at the bottom, made of granite, like this building here, which could stand floods and any seismic activity. So they thought about resets when they were building these buildings, and they had a terrible trouble when they tried taking some of them down. In World War II, it was a little bit easier because all you had to do was drop a ton of bombs, she's waving, a ton of bombs on enemy cities, and the reasoning for that was nothing to do with killing peoples or military. That was purely a war against architecture, namely Dresden, one of the most beautiful cities in the world, utterly destroyed, and all of the other beautiful jewels like Hamburg of Europe, completely destroyed in the bombing campaigns of World War II. And all of these cities that you see in these pictures, they all exhibit what we call mud flood. And if you don't know about that, I'll show you a little bit later, but it's evidence the buildings go at least 1 or 2 levels, or even more in the case of Gothic churches, below ground level, and there's a whole other world below our feet, and that goes for all of us, especially in Britain. And these buildings, they're quite the tops of some buildings, they go a lot lower. Turns out that somewhere in the past, during the resets, there was a lot of flooding, like Noah's flood, apocalyptic earthquakes and volcanoes in some sort of reset, compression, even plasma reset. And that this place suffered liquefaction. And a lot of the places, not everywhere, but most places, filled up with 30 foot of mud. And I'll show you that now. Excuse me, let me just get out of there. Okay. And I will show you now. Can you see these images here? Can you see that come up?
You've unshared your screen.
I've unshared my screen. Okay, give me a second.
No problem.
And the architecture that is built in the past is just living, what they call living architecture. This is a beautiful example. So if I could give it, can you see that?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Yeah. So it look a little bit like the Munsters houses. Some people attribute them to being Tatarian or from the Asian continent, but some of them are a bit Baroque and a European feel, but others are definitely more towards Moorish or Ottoman in style. And then you get the classical buildings, which I think, even in America, were the original classical worlds, which they called the Greeks, the Romans, the Carthaginians, the Trojans, but they're all identical civilizations. So these buildings, now this is like the turn of the century. Yeah, there's this giant chunk of granite stone glass with all of this decoration on top. You see that?
Yeah.
Built
Very-
with horse and cart, okay, in a world for little people and a little cart. I don't know if you can see this post, interestingly enough as well. There's only telegraph around as communication, apparently, in this period, but we see these things everywhere, and they're in the shape of, I guess, in an upside-down Y, and they're full of little white bits, but there's no wires coming off of any of them, joining them all up, so they're not the telegraph. The telegraph are on these pictures, and they're not them. So we think that they were using free energy, just grabbed from the ether, using the buildings, the churches as well, sound and vibrational sciences, resonance sciences like nesting to create a charge, and just gathering it out of the ether, just grabbing a charge out of the ether. We'll look a little bit at that. And the buildings, these living buildings, could do that.
So, Martin, for anyone who isn't familiar with that free energy Tartaria research, using the architecture to harvest from the ether, do you just want to give a quick sort of rundown of what that is and how that works using the metals and, and geometry and stuff?
Yeah, sure. I've got some diagrams a little later when I talk.
Okay, sweet.
Energy, I'll explain it all, but I'll go through in a flow, and I'll get there.
So, if anyone doesn't know what Martin's talking about, guys, just hold fire. It will become
all will become explained.
Yeah, so we'll get into the free energy in a minute, but the point is these buildings are said to have been built in around the 1880s, 1890s, all of them. But I defy you to go onto Google, any building from your city, and look for photographs of it being built. You're not going to find any. You're not going to find anything or any record except for maybe some classical blueprints, which could be drawn of anybody. You won't find any photographs of these being built.
Would I be right in saying, Martin, that often they stage pictures and say it's when they're being built, when they're actually being dismantled?
Well, this is a perfect example of it. It's something you mentioned earlier, is the Expositions and World's Fairs. So there's some photographs out there that show some of them with ladders up against them, and apparently to all intents and purposes, they're telling you that they were built at this time, open for 8 months of temporary products, and then the whole 180-acre site would be just demolished, or in the case of most of them, have an unusual fire, like in the case of Chicago, which would completely destroy the Great Exposition. And they are these, basically what they are is museums. They are museums. They are exhibits where you go to look at the booty of a previous civilization that just went. And the new people that come into these places, they get programmed the same way television does with people today. Here's what Germans look like. Here's what Italians look like. Here's what history was. Here's this, here's that. And then they just unroll the fake narrative for history in these places. I think these places were evidence of the older world. I really do think. I'll show you some beautiful evidence later on, colour images of these great expositions. Railway stations with massive domes. Were they always railway stations? Well, I think there was an infrastructure for railway before, they tell us. And I also think a lot of these hangars were utilised also because they're too big for trains. They are massive. You've been to Paddington Station. It's like, hang on a minute, but it would really nicely fit the transport of Tartaria, which was the balloon. the hot air balloon. We'll look at that a little bit later, because that was a form of transport that was chosen for its grace, for its cheapness, for its safeness. But with the Hindenburg disaster, they got rid of all of that. But they were also, I reckon, for the most part, free energy to a certain extent. So the Phoenicians, I talk about them a lot, the sea peoples, the Phoenicians. Why? Because for some reason, they've stuck their mugs all over the architecture here. And everything's about the seashells, and everything's got a maritime link, just like the laws that we have, because we are under maritime law, which is why all of the financial system is based on fluid terms like going into liquidation, liquid asset,
Currency.
currency. You got it. So yeah. So and also the legal system. We are. If you don't register your kids after 6 months, you are registered lost at sea. And they tell us that we're actually, if you go into law, I'm sure some of you read Blacks, but they tell you that we are actually dead. They don't even say we're living entities. Now, that's not through disregard. I think that they know something obviously more going on about the nature of this realm. The Hippodromes, look at these things with big glass domes and these strange metal gantries. So what we think is this. Tesla said there's unimaginable amounts of electricity just trapped in the ether. Okay, and all you have to do is tease it out using resonance and vibration to tease it out. Okay, and that's where Antiquitech comes in. Resonators, things like aerials or railings on top of buildings that would oscillate in the wind, and they would mainly gather a charge. But they did get struck by lightning, and then the strip would go, they say, down into a grounding thing. But I have fitted them myself, yes. But the lightning, like you can see in the film Frankenstein, could also be utilized and captured. And some of these buildings are actually complexes with banks, if you like. Interesting, again, sea term bank. Banks where they keep energy stored. You can see there's windows here at the bottom, all half cut off. What is the reasoning for making a window and then just getting it concreted half over? Makes no sense to man or beast. And then there's probably 2 stories under here, because you can see the front of this building. So the mud at some stage would have rolled in this way. These cities were completely empty in around 1850. We can't find any peoples around. Look at the size of this building.
That's what I was just going to say. Like, it's absolutely huge. You got, I think, is that a horse and buggy at the front?
Yeah. Not only that, right?
Look at the trees as well. It's absolutely huge.
It's huge. It's immense. But the style.
Sorry, Martin. To the right of this picture, is that a crane?
To the right. No, this is a light. This is a light.
That's a light. That's right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not a gas light. It's electricity, which is interesting as well. But this building in itself is.
So, Martin, you just mentioned the size, right? And we touched on it earlier. You're obviously aware of all Jason's research and stuff concerning the vapor canopy, and in a vapor canopy period, everything's bigger. People, flora, animals, literally everything. So maybe these buildings were built during a vapor canopy. That's why everything's bigger.
I talked about this with Jason, and I also put it forward that maybe because of the technology behind living buildings is that it was helping to sustain the environment after the vapor canopy fell. Yeah, because, it was Mad Max world for a little bit, and then, all of these buildings just pop out, apparently just built out of nowhere. I really do think that these are at least, some of them 400 or 500 years old, maybe even older. America, these pictures of America, what is this thing looking like?
So do you think that they would have been built during a vapor canopy period? That's why they're the size of them, the size they are?
Okay, well, things would have been bigger in a vapor canopy. Increased CO2. Plants would have been bigger. Jason's already talked about megafauna, and probably an increase in size in people too. These buildings really do look like they're for not these little tiny ant people underneath. What is actually the point of massive doors and these towers all of the time, with no bells? I think They landed balloons on them that could drop you straight into your centre. Look at this, the days before the motor car. What were they thinking? Already inventing big, broad roads ready for the car. You know, it's just these things were there already, and all of the narrative, as far as I'm concerned, you know, you can't find any photographs of anything that I'm showing you being built. And a lot of these buildings destroyed. This one is in Galveston. It's called an owl building. We have 2 in Cardiff. They're in every city, and they replicated the worldwide owl buildings. 2 towers either side of a domed central building. And in Galveston, in Texas, they had a major event, but some of these got taken out. But it's all made of this stone granite and marble columns, beautiful interior, in complete symmetry and balance. And a technology of living buildings. They, you know, not a lot. You know, not everyone thinks consciousness is a thing, but I do, and I think that these have an impact on consciousness. You stare at them, you think, "Oh, that's really pretty. Look at all them bits and all of the decoration. Oh, look at that." So this was a Tudor building that was in Bristol, but it's not there anymore, unfortunately. But apparently, the Dutch house, for some period in what they call the Middle Ages, people were building in wood for some reason. Hardly any of them left in the modern day, but they were doing this tiered out thing, but two-tiered like something else. That's a joke.
So we're not. That's an official right-wing conspiracy theory, the 2-tier system. So we can't talk about that.
I wouldn't know anything about that. So
we don't want any knocks on the door, guys.
No, toilets. Okay. There's no toilet in Tartaria. So all of these large buildings I'm showing you and the worlds that went before us, they had no toilets. We had a kazi at the end of the day. But they did have these public things which took you to an underground place where you could publicly, in the 1800s, go to the toilet. But before this period, there was nowhere for anyone to go.
Do you believe that, Martin?
Well, Versailles.
Do you believe if you're constructing buildings of that magnitude and that grandeur, that intricate, you haven't figured out waste disposal and plumbing?
It makes no sense because the Romans had it, the Minoans had
yeah, precisely.
The flush and that. No, I don't believe it. No,
no, yeah,
all.
Sure.
The system. No, it's all just narratives given to us. No, mud flood is definitely a thing. I'm going to give you an example here of mud flood that is quite mind blowing. Probably the best evidence that I have come across concerning it, and it is of the classical world, and it is the Temple of Artemis.
You need to share the screen again, mate.
I am.
Oh, right, sorry.
I was just. Anyway, the Temple of
Back
Artemis.
off, Lance.
I'm on it. Tell him back. I'm on it. So the Temple of Artemis is one of the best examples of mud flood because it's actually undeniable that a mud flood has happened here. This is in Turkey, and as you can see, whatever was here was absolutely massive compared to the people. And these pillars, well, the roof's gone. Whatever was there has disappeared. But they started digging in, and they went down again, the usual 30 foot. So these pillars you can see in the right-hand corner, they go down all of this way, and they will show you in a minute. You have all these giant megalithic size stones at the bottom they're getting down to. But what they're doing is they're taking the mud out of there. Now, this has been practiced all over the world. You can look at Italy, Rome, in 1936. Mussolini was having the mud removed from Rome because no one gave a damn about it.
In 1936?
In 1936.
So that's less than 100 years ago?
Less than 100 years ago, nobody gave a shite about Rome. It wasn't a thing, really. And then he was into architecture, and he decides to expose, to get all of the mud out of the Forum, for example, and away from the Colosseum. And he ordered excavations, and this film of it you can find online, and there's loads of photographs, and it looks exactly like this. But they're using vans in them days. So the site, yeah, it's on the side of a mountain there, and it doesn't look like, because they got a camp there, that anyone's been to here for the longest time. So the classical.
Look at the size of that compared with like the individual stones compared with that dude there next to it.
Are those circular stones stacked on top of each other to make those pillars?
Yeah, and they have a central column holding them together.
Like, there's no way.
But the point is what apocalyptic event came along smashed these temples and these buildings up, which are made of this massive stone, and then buried them all this deep in mud.
Cannonballs, Martin.
Yeah.
It's all cannonballs, mate.
So, would you disagree with the mud came in and buried this?
Holy
Wow.
shit! Look how deep
Look
that
at
is.
that.
What's that? 20 or 30 foot of mud?
So again, in like, I'll just refer back to Archaic's research again. He says that when the sun dark, like mud falls from the sky, rocks and mud fall from
Yeah.
the sky.
And red mud as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Because this shit's got to come from somewhere.
not only that, when you start, it's a real interesting thing that he's brought up there, because when you look at the old pictures of, say, Piranesi, the engraver, which shows you Rome smashed up after a mud flood, you get a lot of plants and organisms and everything just growing on the top of the architecture, almost as if the muds came from
Yeah.
you and me. But look at all this mud all stacked up behind this,
That's literally hundreds of tons.
Yeah, and they got it all up to expose it all. They've done this with all the archaeological sites, but also with the cities. They didn't. They found cities. They were already there. They dug the mud out. They sent skeleton crews in, and then, as I'll get into in a little minute, they brought in populations, the replacements, inheritors of this realm. Okay, and they have just had. They just had a brainwashing program going on. We have come so far. Well, I don't want to speak collectively about us. Troopers are on a road to finding out who we are. But people generally out there, they have gone so far away from what we truly are. It's hard to know whether they're going to come back.
I agree.
Home. But we are more than they're telling us. We are everything. We are all powerful beings, and we are eternal beings. And we doubt ourselves. I do myself sometimes. It's like I doubt, we're all subjects of it. It's that doubt that kills it, because knowing you can stand in your own power.
Yeah, look at this dude. Look, if he's digging this out with a shovel, he's going to be absolutely fucked.
Yeah, man.
Like, look at him. Look.
They don't build them like that
Gasping
anymore.
for air.
He don't give a shit. He dig for.
Yeah.
I'm brilliant at digging. Me. I used to work as underpinning and.
But my point is the size of it that they've got to dig out, like the amount of shit they've got to move out on their little horse and carts.
Yeah, I know. Imagine how long it took as well. But look at the size of these stones. Who was laying them? The giant just putting them in there with one hand.
Yeah, before the days of cranes or any machinery.
Yeah, it's madness
Apparently.
for them. And this is all apparently done with pulleys, ropes, and logs as rollers and stuff like that to move the blocks.
They tell us.
Yeah. How is that physically possible? You put one of those blocks on any temperature, it's just going to snap it.
What if you put some sound through the stone, resonated it, lifted it up, and just put it in?
Well, there's another theory about crystalline technology, isn't
As
there?
well.
Yeah.
That's something you used to talk about. They just grew there.
Yeah.
Like, I'll just say, right, my family business is lifting boats. We have a marina, and I know
Right.
I know the size of crane. We can lift boats up to 10 tons, right? And a 10-ton boat can be up to about 40 foot long. Yeah. And the size of the crane that we have to use,
It's huge, mate.
and the power that crane uses with all of the computers in it is actually quite a feat, but to lift one of those blocks is way above 10 tons.
Bearing in mind, these blocks are so well put together, you can't risk chipping one or something like that. So these have got to be moved very delicately, like a boat has. You can't just chuck a boat up. And
You've got to put it down
very
carefully.
quiet.
to the
Otherwise,
crane and everything.
if you drop, you're going to ruin. You're going to have to cut another block.
Yeah, I was down the marina last week. My son's got a boat in Penarth Marina. And the hoist guy there that's been working there like 30 years has died recently, and they're having trouble finding someone to operate it. The hoist, putting boats out in the marina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's skilled work. You need to know what you're doing when you're even lifting a load of say 10 tons in the air. We use to lift 10 tons. We use a 30-ton crane and a team of 5 guys. And when we have to travel with the boats, you can't always travel with the weight. We can lift that weight stationary when the crane's got its outriggers out, but to travel with that weight, we have to then lift it onto a trolley and drag the boats along and then lift them off in place. It's a big operation only for a 10-ton boat. And some of these blocks that we're looking at here, way more than 10 tons. Way
Yeah,
more.
100 tons, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, as well, Martin, you've zoomed out on this picture again. Like, if you just actually, this is another good example.
Yeah, that's what's
If you
inside them.
just go back, Martin. One picture. Yeah, there you go. So if you see the line here, at the top. If you zoom out again, see that this line of pretty much level mud.
Yeah.
That they've dug from. See that if it was raining mud from the skies, it wouldn't be nice and level like that, would it? So that to me implies that this is a frequency thing or a vibrational thing, because otherwise it wouldn't set so flat.
Yeah.
After it's finished doing whatever it's
Unless
doing.
it was liquid.
Unless it was liquid, yeah. That's another one.
Yeah, it does seem like, this place was, when you clean your fish tank out, you've got a little castle in it, and it's all covered with algae and stuff, and you replace the water. Sometimes looking at these sites, that's what it reminds me of, is all of this is just being underwater. But some terrible cataclysm, obviously, has hit these stones too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if people say, "Oh, it must have been an earthquake to do all this," after an earthquake, the ground wouldn't settle flat like that.
Well, wouldn't you expect the things underneath the mud to be disturbed and damaged if it was an earthquake? They're just quite clearly buried where they are.
Yeah.
If it was a mudslide or something like that, it would have knocked them over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, literally hundreds, thousands of tons of mud would knock a pillar over.
I feel it was just liquefied mud. It looks like it's just all covered around it. It's just come in and then it's just gone off. I noticed when I went my first mud flood cellar, I just banged the floor with my foot, and it sounded proper hollow. Like this sort of thing where it is all compacted in, Okay, it's just, I think this is the same for everywhere, this, what's this? So that it's what are they saying? This is 3,000 years or 6,000 years of worm shit. I don't think that's a thing.
It's random as well. Look at right at the top of this picture, on top of that hill, there's only one tree there.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right at the top there, look, there's only one tree that's of any size.
So as for building techniques, well, if you what I do is I just discount anything that they told us before. To me, this thing here, all right, is it a sewage system or is it a big, massive conduit for cables? Because whatever it is, he's digging it out, and it looks like it's part of this civilization or this complex, and it just looks like underground cabling, what you see in the modern day. So. It could be sewerage, because they usually, sometimes they cut terracotta pots together in the ancient world, but that's not what I'm seeing here. So it looks like some sort of cabling. And this year, again, some sort of cabling. I'm not sure what it is, but it's buried, but it's part of this civilization. Craziness. So everywhere, world over, even Easter Island, the moai that are there, the heads that are there in the ground, they're buried there 25, 30 foot as well. But they definitely buried them, and that wasn't their intent, because they carved their backs. There's all carvings on their backs. You don't carve a statue's back and then bury it in the mud where no one will ever see it. So this is why I thought there might be something to do with sewerage.
While you're just mentioning Easter Island, can we just point out how long ago, in the official narrative of Clan World, did they actually discover that those heads went down below the ground? It was quite recently, wasn't it?
Oh, it's all recent. It's all of this is new archaeology, what they call.
That shill Billy Carson's been telling people that there's something wrong with all of them Easter Island statues, and you're not allowed to go there or something.
Oh yeah, Archaics was calling him out on this the other day, wasn't
and
he?
he's like completely made up a whole load of horse shit about it. And then there was some dude who lives on Easter
proper
Island who
provable
actually
lie.
walked over there. He's like, look, there's nothing wrong with it. The statues are here, they're fine. There's literally nothing going on, and anyone's free to come here.
Well, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do, innit? Yeah, man, that's what they do. Just talk a load of shit. Now. You got to do your own research. I do my own due diligence. This is what I do all day, every day. It's my own research. And then as soon as these people start talking, I think to myself, fuck me, level 1 truth. So I can't be bothered. Just talking.
Shilly Carson.
Rookies.
Yeah, but he is the rookie, bros. Listen, I'm not being funny, but we were talking about stuff like that fucking 10 years ago. He's just jumping on the bandwagon 11th hour talking bollocks. What's he on about? Anunnaki, is he? Oh, great. So, whatever.
Yeah.
They reigned for hundreds of thousands of years,
Oh,
one king at a time.
The thing is, Billy Carson's funny because it's like he is
No,
like
he's got a 140 IQ, man.
He's the ultimate classic shill because he's taken loads of sort of half truths and loads of other people's work, put it in this really shiny package, And he's got like Jason was pointing out, he charges people like thousands of dollars to learn how to do like
I know.
DNA activated meditation and stuff like that. And it's like, wow.
That's some new age bullshit, right there.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, guys, it's like he's still got to live with himself, and I bet his wife's a monster. Not
Mate, he
saying
looks
that.
dead behind the eyes. If you look at him when he's
They're all
talking,
not
his
bad.
eyes look dead, mate.
Once they sold to the dark side and they just say all shit like that, bro, you can see it in their eyes. They ain't happy. It doesn't matter.
He either smokes more weed than me and Lance combined, or he like
Does
looks-
he?
Yeah, well, I don't know, mate. His eyes just look dead, mate. When he's
He's always
talking.
glazed
half
over.
Shut, no, like half shut, half closed.
Let's have a toke of that.
We're moving on. Now, I want to show you a little bit of the World's Fairs, okay, show you the class that they were. I really do think there was World's Fairs before, although a lot of people would disagree. There's some channels that would disagree with us. But I really do think they're a thing. Okay, so let me just point this out to you, okay? Now, I mentioned these new buildings that are everywhere. And they're everywhere, okay? Now, what you find is it was much better before, and you're going to see this everywhere, is beautiful architecture. It's still there, but it's all surrounded by ugly skyscrapers that are made of glass and won't last a tomato season. None of them. And this is a famous cathedral at St. Catherine's in St. Petersburg. Outside, they were planting vegetables. No, that's what they should be doing everywhere in Britain instead of all this grass every fucking where. And outside council flats. Now we should be farming them and making food for ourselves. I'm sure they couldn't stop everyone. No, this is a brilliant example, guys. Of the beauty of Tataria is this picture. Tiny little people, apparently, built this beautiful big.
Look at the size of the rows
Yeah.
of the
exactly.
roads.
Yeah, I know. So why? When it was only horse and cart, and why would they build so big?
But
And
that's 10 cars wide.
yeah, no shit. I know. It's incredible, isn't it? And all of the decoration, you know, what I'm trying to say is they're gonna get horse and cart, they gotta get the stuff up in the air. So what do? They make the most effort they could possibly do to decorate the upper bits where nobody ever sees them. Now, why would they do that? Well, I think because they were broad enough for a Zeppelin or a Blue to come right down the street, okay, and then couple off on one of these towers. Everyone steps out, delivered freshly into their new city. And this more than a conspiracy. This is to make society ill and sick. And we need to go back to this sort of aesthetics of beauty, because that's where we belong. We desire beautiful things. People don't want to see dog shit. They want to see flowers. People want beauty. And this is what we had.
That's awesome.
Yeah, everything's off. The whole world is off. And the wars were definitely to take out, well, they said it was to battle Germany, etc. But when you look into the, swapping prisoners and putting them in luxury hotels and all of that was really going on. Especially
Careful there, Martin.
No, you're allowed to say this. No. You can Google it yourself. It's on Wikipedia. The Germans were kept in Douglas, in the Isle of Man, in luxury beds and breakfasts, and they could just have freedom of the town and walk to the beach every day.
What, in World War II?
In World War II. But the sneak was that is we had the rooms bugged, so we managed to discover some details about D-Day from what they were discussing in their rooms in Douglas, in Isle of Man. Indeed. So. The aesthetics, the beauty you get inside churches, you get these faces, the Phoenician faces. These are later. I think that, this classical era of decoration and beauty and all of these in this classical building.
Like, have you got any idea if you tried to build that these days? Like, I'm not talking about the structure. I'm talking about just the decor and the inside and the intricacies of all of it.
Cost of it.
That's what I mean. It would be astronomical.
Well, not only that, I don't think this is a marble. I think it's perhaps a bronze. But they have these marble statues, which are I covered them on my channel from the sculpture Bernini, and they are flawless works of art. No room for error with marble, guys. But
So, what are you saying, Martin, about the way these are manufactured, these statues, and all of it? Is it carved? Is it chiseled like they told us, or what? What do you think? You think it's 3D printed?
3D
I think there's
printed.
nothing new under the sun. I think they're just doing the same old thing. I think that the narratives of the past, I think, are just that.
This is a holographic construct.
It's a holographic fucking construct, they say.
Wow.
You can change it. You can play with it. You know, I did shows where I was like, that's going to hurt. And I'd literally, that's going to change the matrix and something. And I literally get up a day later and every fucking thing had changed. And it's like, okay, that worked. We can all do that as a collective. We can set our intent of seeing the world. They want us to see a bleak, dystopic world, which is in fact looks like it's happening. But they want us to see that, focus on that, and get used to the idea that they programmed us with 1984 books and all of the films like V for Vendetta, etc. That this is a reality that we will be in a But if we don't see that Big Brother vision for the future, and we focus on what we really want as a people, which is love and safety, and to be in a place where you're not feeling in danger and you want to feel safe in your own environment, because that's all what's going down in Britain now, is people are feeling a little bit unsafe in their own environment, and I get it. Nobody likes to be invaded and shit. So that's been going on all along. These narratives are just repeated. And this has been going on since time immemorial, as far as I can see.
The AI can't control everything.
Well, no, I don't. No, hang on. We have free will, and we can break pattern. Okay, and I break pattern like all of the time just to play with it. And as soon as you start breaking pattern, so set your intent, trick it, and go elsewhere. Okay, things get mighty strange, mighty quick, because you are literally making your reality there. It's like with your intent, you've got to get your thoughts right. Otherwise, you could wish up a shitstorm if you're not in the right frame of mind. So positivity, we're getting, this realm together, I think are hand in hand. I really do. And I think in the MK Ultra that is, happening worldwide and everyone's just like, gone away with, will ramp up. But the thing is there's the truth of movement to tell people, but that's like, everyone put your fingers on your lips, stand in the corner like naughty school children. So that's going on. So
I'm so glad you're showing something here of Angkor Wat.
Okay, so the name of it, what is it?
So Martin, this is clearly a different building type. Like the actual way they've put this together, it's more Eastern.
Because most people don't know that the Khmer Empire that allegedly built this, Angkor Wat means temple, by the way. So Angkor is the place, it's Angkor Temple. Yeah. The Khmer Empire, before there was Vietnam, Thailand and Cambodia, and even the Kingdom of Siam, the Khmer Empire ruled over the whole of the Southeast Asian peninsula. Now, I've got a bit of an insight into this part of the world. I've spent a lot of time there, and I spoke to the Khmer people, and the Khmer people are very, very, what's the word? They've got a bit of a chip on their shoulder, because they believe that their entire civilization and knowledge was basically wiped out, i.e. they have no idea how their forefathers or their ancestors built any of this. They blame it all on Thailand. Because
almost like they were reset.
Yeah, the Khmer people know they were reset, and this is even before any of the Pol Pot stuff. And
Pol Pot was infatuated with the that's why he called him Khmer Rouge. He was infatuated with this site, and now he wanted to know what was going on. You're right. So.
Were you aware that this whole site is actually floating?
Yes, and that it's surrounded by water, and it's just, I wish I got a bigger version of this, where it's further away and you can see all of the water around it then. But these glyphic lines as well that go off for miles and miles, they go beyond that water enclosure, off into the distance. So this site must have just been, the Khmer Rouge must have been immense. And am I right to say that was only as recent as the 1600s that they fell?
I believe the height of the Khmer Empire was actually in the 1400s.
Yeah, that's right. But they fell at 1600. They were
that's as the original Thai people and the Siam Empire and the Kingdom of Lana and Sukhothai started to rise. They fought with the Khmers and basically just wiped out their civilization. And then the Khmer people basically, like I say, they had no idea where they came from, what they were doing. And then Pol Pot came along and murdered everyone that had glasses, everyone that was an intellectual.
How communist.
Yeah, no,
How
mate,
communist of-
many people don't know about what happened in Cambodia. It's very, very bad, like the killing fields and everything. It's in many ways, right up there with what allegedly happened in Nazi Germany.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Pol Pot was he went batshit crazy on the people, didn't he?
Yeah.
Do you know which country had more bombs dropped on it than any other country in history?
Was it Dresden?
No, which country had more bombs dropped on it than any other country in history?
I feel like I've heard this before, but I can't remember.
I
the
heard that
answer.
I heard that it was Laos, north.
It
the
is.
co-
It
yeah,
is
yeah,
Laos.
it's Laos. Yeah.
Yeah, because they extended the Ho Chi Minh Trail through it, so they were just more bombs were dropped on that than the whole of World War II, Vietnam, and everything else. Apparently, Laos.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time in Laos, and it's a big problem still that people are getting blown up by unexploded ordnance
Really?
left over from not just from Vietnam and from previously. Yeah, I've had really in-depth conversations with other people that live there, Westerners that are very interested in this story, and some of them believe that they are actually. The official story is they were trying to get rid of the Viet Cong that were hiding in the Laotian jungle, and they were fighting the Americans. But the amount of bombs dropped on this very small country of Laos compared to the other neighbouring Southeast Asian countries, and it's mostly jungle as well, or it is now. Yeah, it's
Who knows what's under there though?
Yeah.
If it's...
Exactly.
Did you go to Vietnam as well, then?
No, Vietnam, Thailand, Cambodia, and Laos was my playground for about 10 years.
I spent 6 weeks in Vietnam, travelling all around it, and it was very different to Thailand.
But one thing, whether this is relevant or not, I got deep in Thailand. I speak quite good Thai. I know about Thai culture. And when I went to Cambodia, the Thai people warned me, especially my missus at the time, who she was like, in Cambodia, they still have black magic. And the Thai people were very, very scared of it. They were saying, when you go there, if a lady can put a spell on you, and they fully believe this. And they were like, even in Southeast Asia, Cambodia was seen as somewhere that was still living in many ways in the old world, although it had been decimated in the recent decades because of communism and Pol Pot. Very, very interesting. I'd like to do a whole show on it because it's a part of the world that we never really learn much about over here in the West. It's sort of like a big forgotten story. And there really is still magic in that part of the world. That's why I spend so much time there.
Even in the media about, unless there's like a catastrophe, like a typhoon or a flood or something like that, you don't really hear much anything. No,
I got a mate in Thailand.
Not really.
So I'm pretty up on it.
my brother lives in Thailand. He's been there 10 years now.
I'm going in December. Me and my wife, we're going for 3 weeks. We're going only to the north. We're going nowhere near coconut trees or palm or beaches or anything like that. We're renting a car and driving all along the Burmese border with Thailand. And we're going to many of the sites that were actually instrumental in the war between the Shan army, which is this Burmese breakaway army, and the Golden Triangle and all that kind of stuff. I'm so interested in that part of the
Me and
world.
Becky S will be flying out and meeting Lance and the Empress.
Yeah, they're going to meet us for part of this road
explore
trip.
the opium fields.
Yeah. So we're going to go right to the actual point of the Golden Triangle where Laos, Thailand, and Myanmar meet, and it's very, very interesting there, to say the least.
This is interesting, right? This is in. Let me just show you this video. It will make sure I get. Excuse me a second. So I've got a video, right? I've been showing it in the community for maybe 3 years now, and it shows Antiquitech active, and it's in Cambodia. It's in Phnom Penh, and I just want to make sure that I have my my volume on.
That's mine as well.
So, excuse me.
That's all right. No, Andy PG was just pointing. I've got a pile of lighters here, and he's just pointing out all the
Which
lighters
ones are
I've
mine?
stolen from him over the weeks in the studio. I'm a really bad lighter thief.
Oh, it looks absolutely eerie. So this is in Cambodia. This is in Phnom Penh, and it's we've got extra supporting evidence that this is actually happening. Is I think it's like working.
This picture here is it in Phnom Penh?
Yeah, man.
What?
Yes.
Oh my goodness! That is in the capital city of Cambodia.
Yep.
It doesn't look like that anymore. No, Phnom Penh is like it's very dangerous in Phnom Penh. When I got off the airport, I got off the plane in the airport there. I normally wear a big gold chain with a golden amulet with Lumpur Thot, a very famous Buddhist monk inside it. In Thailand, I never get any problems. It gives me maximum respect. As soon as I got off the plane in Phnom Penh, the big security guard with all his uniform came over to me. Mr. Farang, take off your necklace, or outside, bang bang, like someone will shoot you. Like,
Nice, mate.
Yeah.
That's it.
Sounds like somewhere you want to take the wife.
Yeah, not the safest place in some parts of Cambodia nowadays.
Where is? Oh, right. Excuse me a second. Antiquitech we're looking at now, right? Just give me a second to bring that up. You see that on the picture?
We're still looking at the picture of the two ladies stood in the street.
Irie. Okay, give us a second.
That's okay. You've got a massive presentation there. You need to get it in check. We've got a lot of evidence to show tonight.
Got 400 not people in the chat.
Yeah,
Much
not too bad at all.
well.
437 people tuned in. Big shout out to everyone tuned in. This is Rise Above. Make sure you share this on all of your social media. Our very special guest tonight, Martin Liedtke of Flat Earth British.
Okay, so free energy is a thing, but like I said, nothing new under the sun. I've got examples of Skype being used as early as the First World War, so we're talking Edwardian times, 1915. Here
Skype?
Skype, it's called Skype, okay? There's people
What?
talking on televisions over 100 years ago. I'm not joking, no, okay? These ladies here are from the 1920s, so they walk down the road, okay?
I'll get it back on the screen. Here we go. What?
See it? Two ladies from the 1920s.
What has she got in a it looks like a little control box with wires coming out of it.
So it is a wireless telephone, and the umbrella is doubled as an antenna. I shit you not. They have wire goes
shit.
up to the umbrella, and then she earths it on a bollard or a fire hydrant in the street. This is a wireless telephone in 1920s, and then they earth it. This is the telephone, and they put that. So I was wondering whether there was a charge coming out of these things, like a subtle charge, not enough to give you a shock, but enough to run the communications, because these things just seem too much for the day of horse and cat. Nobody's going to ram raid anywhere with a horse and cat. So why have they got big steel things everywhere? Bollards and fire hydrants. So here's an example of Skype being used in the 1930s. You could make a direct call from Leipzig to Berlin in full HD with stereo sound in the 1930s.
Could you also phone the moon from the Oval Office?
only if you don't get a delay. Okay. Okay, it's got to be a 9-second delay, unless you're Nixon, of course, because he gets no delay at all.
Yeah, right. That
So
looks like a Coviot molecule.
Ooh, I found it. That's where it is. It's on the top of a pole in Scotland.
We
found it.
finally isolated it. Finally.
It's all over with. We found it. Yoo-hoo. So yeah,
Came from some rotting haggis.
So I will tell you now. I went on a Facebook group today, and 95% of the photographs the lady was sharing, the Russian lady, were just these AI generated bullshit that's all over the internet. And there has been some fuckery that we've caught out with blanked out, really harshly blanked out skies on so many pictures. Now, we call them vanilla skies. There has to be a reason why they're hiding the sky in the past. And these anomalous things, they were disappeared around 1900. And this is the reasoning, because basically they were going in favor of Edison-style electric with meters. Oh, excuse me. But I think before then we were harnessing it using buildings, catching a charge. These are all over antiquity. They are not wired up. They are not like advertising posts or anything of that nature. They're just a trellis of pipes that vibrate and create a subtle charge.
Martin, one thing you mentioned about 20 minutes ago, which I've never put two and two together with this before, you mentioned Frankenstein. where in every movie or every depiction of Dr. Frankenstein we've ever seen, the way he gets the energy for his machine to animate his monster is through pieces of Antiquitech on the roof, and he captures lightning, right?
Yep, that's the easy one to answer. All is electric in this place. We are electric. If you have a heart attack, they stick these electrical things on your chest and say, clear, poof. And the only thing that will bring you back to life and get that Taurus pump, because I don't think it's what they're saying, I think it's the Taurus feel heart. I think it's the only thing to get you activated again. We are like robots. We have to have an electrical charge. When the electrical charge goes, we're dead. I don't, if someone was to ask me if you've got a soul, I'll say, no, I haven't got a soul, I am a soul. And that soul is an electrical.
Martin, you've gone slightly weird with your sound there all of a sudden, mate.
I'm just going to boot you out and
Literally,
get you back
the
in,
last
Martin.
sort of 10 seconds has gone a bit
One
strange.
sec, because we don't want to get compromise audio quality. I'll just get Martin back in.
Okay.
Yeah, that's better. We sorted it.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, it was like a fishbowl effect. You
Just
went
turn
really
it off
distant.
and on, guys.
Yeah, just restart. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Just like the sky simulation.
As we've just broken it out of breaking the conversation, Martin, you're talking about Antiquitech, harvesting energy from the ether on top of buildings and stuff, right? So I'm just playing peasant's advocate here, and okay, there's definitely something to the building of these structures, right? It clearly couldn't be done with horse and buggy, that kind of thing, and the reason it's also big and stuff is up for scrutiny as well. Wouldn't a good way to discredit all of that, and people looking into it and just make it sound like a bunch of fucking weirdos, to be like, oh yeah, they're saying that you can get electricity through these buildings and putting weird metals and stuff on top, and the shape of the buildings harnessing electricity. Doesn't that sounds quite wild?
For mainstream Clanwell narrative,
that's what I'm saying. But wouldn't
Okay.
that be, if that wasn't true, wouldn't that be a good way to discredit all of this
But there's
architectural stuff?
Remember when we were doing our research and I looked into the actual storing of the static electricity and we found the Leyden jars.
Yeah.
That backs up the theory that they were collecting the energy from the ether, whether it be static
I'm
electricity,
down
or
with
like
whichever.
a low voltage latent charge. That's
A
what
Leyden
Martin
jar.
mentioned earlier. Like a not the kind of electricity that you can get a shock from, but enough to power.
Just a static electricity.
Yeah.
You might get a little shock from it, but it's not going to kill you.
A bit like a cow fence. But in regards to storing, now there's loads of ideas. I'll show you some images later of where they say that there's a mercury ball underneath that amplifies the charge, and there's a whole process to it. But the thing is that is true is the higher up you get, the more static potential is there.
We've seen this. I've seen a video on YouTube of somebody tying some copper device to a air balloon with a GoPro on it, and they go up and they see how far the charge is.
Benjamin Franklin did the same with a kite. And then the lightning hit the kite, and eureka, he's managed to get a charge down the string all the way to whatever he was trying to illuminate. The age of illumination. So steel bridges like this, I just think that they're doing, even with these bollard things that are everywhere in antiquity, I think that they are creating like that subtle charge. There's a lot of change between them as well. So it's like a delivery system of electricity that they've created in these Antiquitech devices. There's no reason for all of this decoration on all of this, but it is metal. It's got what looks like Antiquitech, perfect symmetry. This is to get the charge across a river. The river also, I know I said this place is electricity, but we are definitely in a fluid medium, okay? This place, this ether is fluid. So here, German Skype, earliest 1935, 1936, 1928, 1930. I've got them earlier than this though, First World War. They're using CCTV as well. Which they don't tell you about. And these viewers, where you can just send a signal from Berlin to far off places and see them on screen. Nothing is new under the sun. Here it is here. So television, they had a long time before they released it on the public. Berlin to Leipzig Skype, perfect stereo.
This is unbelievable, mate. I cannot believe I've never seen this before.
I was aware of the Skype thing.
Because if you think about it, right, in the 80s and 90s, when you watch science fiction movies like Blade Runner, like Total Recall, the technology of the future was everyone talking to each other on video calls.
Oh, sure. It is. Yeah.
And now they always say, now we're like 30, 40 years later, and just like in Demolition Man, where they've got iPads and they're showing things on iPads. Well, it's like, oh wow, our iPads now are much better. They don't even have borders, but they had the video called. We had this in the 1930s.
Yeah.
Well, but listen, if they had that advancement in the 1930s, you can only presume that they always roll out technology like that they had it before. And I wrote this as part of my first book, back in the day. 1936, okay, but we also know all technology released to the public usage is previously tested and usually extensively by the military, in many wars during preceding 150 years. So, Dick, what you really could have had, because I showed this secret lens that was found, and you found electric cables existing long before 1786. Then imagine Queen Victoria or Napoleon sitting in their chairs in their palaces watching the battles go down on their walls. No, I think that they had that. I think that nothing new under the sun. Nobody thinks that they had all of this. But turn of the century, they're doing this. 1936, advertising, go in there, you can make a Skype call.
That's like an internet cafe, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah,
It was
literally,
the
quite
internet
literally.
cafe. It was the World Wide Web.
And now everybody's got internet at home. They don't need those
Internet cafes
places
are
anymore.
actually like defunct now because
Yeah.
everyone's got it on their phone.
Yeah, but like I said, nothing new is under the sun, because everything that I have, that we think is new now, as I can find in the past. Do you really think the narrative for airplanes is true?
No.
They're not that difficult. If they manage to do sailing, airplanes sail. They sail in the air. The wings are sails. It's exactly the same.
It's actually just very basic physics.
It's basic physics. It's
Yeah.
the same. It's the same dynamics as a sailing. So I can't believe that they didn't put that shit together. Same with cameras. This is a super easy technology, guys. You can make them out of a shoebox, and a mirror. You don't need a lot of stuff to make a camera. Kids were making cameras all the time in the war. This is not a difficult science. I can't imagine that they only managed to get photographs together in the 1840s. I really do think some of these images that we're looking at, are from an earlier time. How would we even know? They're not time-stamped or dated. And not only that, I got a bit of footage that I'm going to show tomorrow of the Wright brothers' first flight in 1903. And
I have seen that footage, that alleged footage.
how long do you think moving pictures have been around for a camera to be set up in a field doing a motion picture of the first flight ever in history is too convenient for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, that is just a set of bullshit narrative. Right, so next. Okay, star forts. Giants is a good subject. I think maybe we should look at some of them along the way. What are we looking at?
I like the
You
sound
crack
of that.
on, Martin. Whatever you, the floor's yours,
Yeah,
mate.
the floor is yours, mate.
Okay. Well, we got a lot of places we could go, but I think it's interesting to some people is this topic, which is the arrivals, which is spooky because I've shown images of San Francisco. I could show you the bit of footage now, actually, just to give you an idea.
Yeah, let's go for it.
It's really eerie, though, guys. It's really spooky what I'm going to show you now. So, Dick, I'll show you the boat footage, the films before and after. It is absolutely mental, to say the least. Okay, so I talk about the San Francisco earthquake quite a bit, and the reasoning is this anomalous film, the best film out of antiquity ever. Excuse me, here it is. And it is Market Street in April 1906, 3 days before the entire city is eradicated by an apparent earthquake and subsequent firestorm, which destroyed most of the city to an alarming level. If nuclear war was a thing, then that's what you would presume is going down. Now, this Market Street, like I showed you earlier with Vancouver, is set up. And this is, I know you think, oh, well, they can have a whole street in the center of a city as a movie scene. Yeah, they can. Cecil B. DeMille was having 150,000 extras when he filmed Cleopatra in the 20s. So, yeah, they do have that many people. And
150,000?
At least extras in the filming of Cleopatra.
At least.
Cecil B. DeMille had hundreds of thousands of extras in his movie, yes.
Michael.
Yeah, man. And So this scene here, right, is there's no cars anywhere else in the world around this period, but San Francisco's Market Street has all the cars in the world for some reason for this making of this film. And this car here, which I just stopped on, this one here, it goes round and round and round. And these people, well, they try to kill themselves in this tram. And you're going to see people far off, knowing that this tram's coming with a cameraman on, trying to hide. So all of this incredible, best footage out of antiquity, without a shadow of a doubt, that we have, 1906. They got an electric tram system. Now watch this. This guy with a fake baby. Yeah, just don't even bother fucking running. Just go straight in front of a moving tram. And all of these people just waiting just to get their face on the camera. And these cars are doing loops. Here he comes. This car's coming round again. And he's going to come round and he'll be in the front again in a minute because they're trying to make it look like there's more cars. So it goes down Market Street, this tram, all the way to the terminus. Interesting name, terminus. This is the ferry terminal where everyone's
just driving around wherever they want.
It's like everyone's walking in a completely random direction.
Yeah. They're trying to make it look busy. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
There's no way you would let your horse go between two trams.
If this was a normal day in this street, there would be multiple casualties just all over the place.
Everyone
People crashing into each
Everyone
other.
looks like they're not organically supposed to be there. They look like they're
Well, the
placed
camera's
there.
not actually on the front of a tram. It's just on some kind of wheeled
Right.
Yeah, like a
platform.
dolly
I think John Levi showed that footage before. I think I have seen that on one of his videos.
Yeah, you would have. So this is exactly the same place 3 days later.
What?
Wow.
You want to ask yourself, how come the first one's so nice and crispy and then this one looks like it's from the fucking Bronze Age? Why is it so fucked?
I haven't seen this at all.
Right,
no.
now what you find is the spookiest thing, right? So Armageddon's just happened. 7,000 people apparently dead. And all you see is immaculately dressed people coming out of this building here, turning up with their bags, with a designation. They're not even looking at the disaster. They're not upset. They know where they're going. Everything's set. Now, what you see is them all coming from this building here. This only had a crack in it. And that's all it suffered in the earthquake and fire, conveniently. So, yeah.
Maybe the camera was damaged in the earthquake.
Good one. Good one. So, also, there's been some fuckery as well, because this booth as well is on the other side in the colour footage. And now in the black and white footage is on this side. And somebody said, oh, yeah, it's just a mirror image. But it's not, because the writing's still the right way around. And there's a signpost outside of this building, which literally says 8809 instead of 1809. Fuck knows what's going on with that. So here they all are, coming in their thousands, all with their bags, immaculately dressed to come and take over the city, which has just been destroyed. And they're going to go where exactly? They're all coming from.
So, Martin, where would you speculate these people have come from?
Underground. They're all too pale, and they're not from this sun. First thing you find is they burn. They can't go in the sun. Everybody has to wear a hat. The women have to wear long clothes down to the ground to cover all of their bodies.
And umbrellas and stuff like that. And we're told it was just the fashion at the time.
No, it makes no fucking sense that, because this is a muddy world, okay, where you have boot scrapers. Why would a woman have a dress that just literally
drapes all along the floor? Yeah.
Yeah, no, it just makes no sense. So it's science. It's a protection from extra EM in the air after a plasma type of reset, something that would create this landscape, give you the narrative of an earthquake. You know, there's all sorts of icky narratives behind this, guys, okay? This place only shook for seconds, and then there's a fire that does all of this, okay? And then all of these people, where's their stress? They're not crying, fuck all. They're just walking along with their black mourning clothes on, everyone with a hat to cover your head, umbrellas, as you say. And this is another reason why when they're on beaches in this era, they're completely covered up. You don't see, and they say it's decency, but it's not, guys. It's not that. They're covering up.
Yeah, also, Martin, on the subject of beaches, no one has any towels.
I was going to bring up the beaches, right? Because I've seen some of the footage of, I think it was like 1903, 1904, and it's a seaside resort where there is a developed beach with a promenade. There's even things like beach huts and stuff like that. But the people there, it's like they've never ever seen a beach before, and they have no idea what to do. Women are wearing petticoats. They're all wearing exactly the same thing. People are walking into the sea, putting up their clothes.
If people have been underground for years and years, like surviving the reset and the fallout from it, and they've just been immersed, given these clothes to, maybe they wouldn't know what the fuck.
Well, yeah,
to do at a beach.
it looked like the first day at the beach for these middle-aged people.
No, fucking clones. They're cloning them. And you seen Oblivion, man? He had one of a fucking 100 of him in the cupboard.
What?
The Tom Cruise film Oblivion.
No, I haven't seen that.
It's
But
really
you're
good.
saying they're cloning them?
Yeah, well, he didn't know it was one of many different clones. How many people look like one another in fucking different places? How many people look like different people in history?
Hang on. Let's rewind here, Martin. Are you saying that these people in this footage are clones?
Very possibly, yeah.
Are you actually?
What about that film Who Cloned Tyrone that came out recently? Have you seen that?
No.
It was with Jamie Foxx, and it was right at the time when Jamie Foxx was away from the scene for 3 or 4 months, and people thought he was dying of COVID or whatever. Right. And he came back looking really weird, and everyone said he's been cloned. And then a film came out that he directed called Who Cloned Tyrone, and it was about people in the hood in America, and it was basically saying that these really deprived hood areas, ghetto areas, were genetic cloning experiments, and you could go to each hood in America, and there'd be one guy. There would just be the same set of people with different names, and it's sort of exactly the same sort of like archetype that Martin's suggesting here.
Well, when I was John Levy suggested this, not me, but he did suggest, what if these films are the other way around? Like this one came first, and that other one after the rebuild, and the replacement was second. And we're looking at, like I said, we don't know the age of what we're looking at, guys. You know, like I said with that, 1903 footage of Wright brothers. You know, they got moving pictures then. You know, they got them way before then. So maybe that is the case. It's just too weird that these people are not traumatized. You know, they're just strolling in and, like they really are occupying a bombed out city. You know, very similar to like war, but. They're all, where do they do their clothes? How do they look so well? And, this is apocalypse, for fuck's sake. The trams never stopped, same as Hiroshima. Hiroshima bomb apparently dropped. The trams stayed operational. Same for San Francisco. All this event, electric trams, because there's apparently an electric cable in a line here all the way to some sort of power station. I'd love to know what's going on with that.
Yeah, it looks like all of like the food shops and stuff have been destroyed. Where are they eating?
None of these people look in a rush to find any food.
No. There was 150 FEMA camps set up within a day. There's footage. I've got footage on here in these films, these old films of these footage of these camps. But Chinatown was completely destroyed, and you never ever see a Chinaman in any of these pictures. You see, because there was martial law brought in, you see a lot of army armed because they're looting as well, but you see a lot of these people that have got like this white armband on here, which is in some sort of power. I can't imagine what's going on in this place. And then the weirdness is the rest of the world pour money into San Francisco, and within 9 years they build the biggest exposition that's ever been seen on the face of the earth.
Yeah,
the Pan-Pacific Exposition within 9 years. So they rebuilt the entire city, and apparently built the expositions as well, all in 9 years.
Madness.
Madness. When this is like the state of the city,
Let me tell you, unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. So some of the parts of the city, like I said, it's very selective. Some parts look not too bad. And some parts are completely destroyed as far as the eye can see. But a lot of the damage, they admit, they caused by what they call fire breaking, which was with high explosives. So they were destroying a lot of the city themselves as well. So yeah, this is amazing footage. This is on gigapixels, believe it or not. So how come they're doing high definition widescreen pictures from an air balloon in 1906 is beyond me, but they did.
Yeah, and then we've just seen that rocky footage from that last video you showed us.
Yeah,
but then they can get crisp footage like this.
Yeah. So with this picture, you can see the tower I just showed you is being put in scaffolding, and there's camps everywhere. You can see tents, but the weird thing is this that's in the sky.
What?
What the fuck is that?
Is that an airship?
Wait,
Yeah,
I
man,
need a
it's an
button.
airship. And not only that, this picture is taken from 2,000 feet from an airship that's called Captive.
Wait, you can't go too much. Like Lance needs to see this. He's currently out of the studio. Like this is wild. Go back to it. Mark.
Weren't you supposed to stay like really still when you were taking a photograph so that things didn't blur? So like, how are they getting it so crisp if they're up in the air being blown about in an airship? Just a thought.
That's a
Like,
good point.
what-
That's like a high
What
shutter
is
speed
that?
to get that.
That looks like something out of a Roald Dahl.
That's like steampunk.
It's got an aerial on it as well, which is interesting. But the footage is taken from an air balloon, so this thing must have been up there as well. You know, what's causing the damage on the ground? I'm definitely in 100% think it's from the air.
Yeah.
You can see some sort of like what could be interpreted as some sort of weapon below it. So in my
Mate,
Just energy
think-
of the directed.
I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
any of what we're looking at here is purely speculative. Like from the looks of it, like what is this? It looks like something the Lost Boys from Hook have put together.
It's totally steampunk. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Totally, but I've seen loads of examples of this in the old balloons of the old days. You know that they've from us. You know they go with the Montpellier brothers, etc. But really, they have. I got evidence that I can show tomorrow of balloons that were carrying 8,000 people. 8,000 people. So this is interesting. From Lawrence, captive airship. Are they saying that the airship's captive?
Yeah, that is
2,000
interesting.
feet above San Francisco Bay.
Captive.
Yeah. It's an unusual name for an airship, don't you think?
Is that not like something to do with the way that the people are in the ship? You know, like you see some of the airships where you've got the air at the top and then like a little bus hanging from underneath it.
Yeah.
Captive would mean that the people are inside it.
Oh, yeah, it could be. Oh, yeah, that's a good thing.
Oh, Becky S there with the info.
Yeah, but look at that. As the eye can see, just like the apocalypse.
Yeah, and look, the grid, we'll call it the grid. Look how the lines, the roads and that are still...
Right.
This
Really
looks
wide
exactly, this
roads.
looks exactly the same as from the
Not
geoattacks
only that, right?
attacks in California and like in Maui and stuff.
Yeah,
like
with
that.
the roads being that wide, like you wouldn't expect a fire to just hop over every single one of them.
No.
It is selective fire. It doesn't touch
Yep.
all of the telegraph poles and the trees.
Very selective, yeah.
Yeah, really
What's
smart.
interesting about this image, right, is you can see Golden Gate Park here. Eventually, Golden Gate Bridge will be built over this gap here, okay?
Yeah.
But you can see, okay, large white buildings in the background where you can see I'm pointing to. Can you see them?
Yeah.
That's the site of the Expositions. They're not supposed to be built yet,
Oh, that is interesting.
isn't it? That's where
Yeah,
they got
yeah,
built.
so-
Yeah,
yeah.
they big fucking white buildings right there in
Yeah.
1906.
Broadcasting. Excellent.
Innit?
That is good. Where is Lance? Where is Lance?
Wait, don't leave me.
No, I'm just gonna. Here he is. Right, Lance, you're missing out here, man. Come on, like.
Oh, go on. I'll go back.
Right, just show him what's in. Show him what's in the sky quickly, Martin. There.
Okay.
This is
okay.
Show him
mad.
what's in the air. Right, so we got this. Look, this wide angle footage.
Is this San Francisco?
Real crisp, yeah. And then like, look how crisp that is. And then we've just seen that shoddy video from before.
Yeah.
Like how like go up. Check this out. Look.
No. Is it? Are you sure that's not AI?
Well, I've had this image since about 2016.
What the fuck is that? It
I
looks
said
like
it looks something akin to what the Lost Boys would put together from Hook.
yeah, it looks like some sort of like steampunk sky pirate ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And it's there. You can see it there. But this image is taken from the same altitude as because it's in a balloon as well. So you know, it's not too difficult to believe that balloon's there. If this photograph's taken from a balloon, you know, it might even look like that, all we know. But it's so sinister that it looks like it's got a weapon coming off the bottom of it, you know. So, okay, next category is, you know, I could use hundreds of examples of cities that are being destroyed, nearly all of American cities. I could pull any one of them. This is Portland in
Oh,
Maine.
hang on. Sorry, Martin. Just go back to that picture and show Lance the World's Fair site, which wasn't supposed to be built, but is built.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, just quickly, just so he's up to speed.
Okay, boyo, I'm there.
I don't want to miss out.
No. Well, you spent fucking 10 minutes.
I know. You,
It's on
Rude
video.
to Martin.
I stopped it. I stopped it. Don't worry, I'll bring it back up now. Let me.
It's a matter of etiquette, Martin. I'm sorry, I apologise for the host of the show.
No, I got it there. There it is. Can you see that?
let me just get it up one sec. No, you're not sharing.
I'm not sharing.
Sharing is caring, Martin. Come on.
Sharing is caring. I love your attitude. More of that. Sharing is caring. Okay. It's not a precise science, you know.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, so I showed that creepy image of ruined San Francisco, and then we get up to this image here, and okay, so you get the funky blue. What did you want to show?
The World's Fair site that's not supposed to be there.
Okay, that's coming up a little bit up here. Okay. So over here in the bay, can you see over here in the bay?
Yeah.
Okay, well that is the actual site of what will be the Pan Pacific Exposition. I'm mirror back on it now because I noticed that there's buildings, large buildings already there. And a friend of mine then took a freeze frame of this bit of a photograph here and magged up on it and cleared it up as much as they could. And they are very large whitish buildings there a few years or before. The things that are actually supposed to be built. I can't see where it is, boyo.
It looks absolutely massive.
Yeah, it does. And to think this is like,
So it's over there, Martin. It's, yeah. It's over the here, Lance.
Yeah, I can see. I can see
that giant square thing there. Well,
Yeah.
that looks like the pavilion, and there's a dome on top of the pavilion. And as I said, my mate cut this bit here and he cleared it up, and it's just massive white buildings there.
And look how white it is compared to anything else in the foreground. It must be so
And we're
reflective.
really- and we're miles away.
Yeah.
So that's really big. Whatever and you can see them in the background. There's loads of them, white buildings. There's a line of them there. There's one there. There's one there. There's this big, massive square one there, and that's the exact site of where the exposition is. So,
And the official narrative is that's not built yet. That's not there.
No, man, that's not built for 9 years after this.
What year is this from?
1903.
And how long had San Francisco been established before this photo or this video was taken?
Well, it was established by 49ers. Apparently, 1840s, they came here, built this port, which got completely destroyed in another fire and event in the 1850s. Then they built it all back up again, and then this massive city that shit out of nowhere all over again. And then that city is subsequently destroyed in the same manner, 1903. Like I said, these things are in cycles, and a lot of these cities, they're destroyed more than once, guys. A lot of them,
And if I'm right in thinking, back in these time periods in between 1850 and say 1905, the alleged population of these places was much, much lower than it is today. It was something in like the tens of thousands or something like that from when it was settled.
Well, there's the other question, is the population explosion, isn't it? The whole world was invented and the whole population all turned up in the 1800s, apparently. So the whole of America getting populated, all the inventions of the modern world and everything that we know today all came out in the 1800s, because in all of human history, we didn't know shit before that point. We just got clever all of a sudden, apparently. So, this was the world that went before us. This is an exposition that got completely demolished, rebuilt. Can you see that there? Or am I showing? Or am I not showing?
You're not showing at the moment.
I thought that because I can see my face on the screen. That is body.
This is the show and tell, Martin. Come on.
I know. Thank you all for being there. It's nearly 500 in the chat.
Yeah, that's awesome. 459. That's if we can breach 500. That's going to be near a rise above record for a Friday night, I think.
517 was our
517 is our record.
Yeah.
Share this out, dudes. Share this out.
Yeah, get it on all your socials, Facebook, Twitter, the lot.
Share it to your nan.
Tell all your friends.
She's probably been in some of these buildings.
There's a picture of your nan
they
there.
love all of this stuff to Tyria and mud floods and stuff, grannies. Especially, it's a little bit of nostalgia. You know, with this whole subject, I find that it's just remembering, like something like really deep down inside us, where we remember the world that went before. When we look at these buildings, something resonates with us. It's like, I was part of them people that made that beautiful building. You know, not this shit. This is where we get to in 1930 at fucking Deco. They knocked down all of this. This is the Champ-de-Mars in Paris. And the only two things that survived to the modern day, believe it or not, is this pillar here and that pillar here.
Martin, can I stop you right there?
Yeah.
Right, I'm really sorry. Right, I was going to ask you about this later. So me and Becky S, we went to Prague.
Oh, I've been there last year.
Yeah, and that was the most phenomenal experience with this architecture that I've had, right? I have noticed something, right? If you can zoom in on that second pillar to the left of the screen, at all, at the top of it, you see that where your cursor is right now on that statue behind. There's two statues on top. The one on the right there, that one, yeah. Every World's Fair site has got this.
Yeah,
has got a pillar with this statue on the right.
Yeah.
And I saw loads of them in Prague that they're still there. For some reason, they still leave those up. I'm sure in some of the other footage you've got and photos, you're going to see that a statue on a pillar.
Is it next to a griffin or something like that?
It's normally on its own. It's normally on its own. When you come out of me and Becky S, we investigated the old World's Fair site in Prague, and we literally walked over this bridge, and they had two pillars at the end of the bridge with that exact same thing. And I've seen they're in Dresden. They're in America. They're literally everywhere, all over the world. They're in Australia.
And New York.
For some reason, this.
It's like an archetype of the World Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, these.
No, not just World Fair sites. Just like Tartarian. For some reason,
The old world.
statue. Yeah, the old world. Yeah.
Okay, so a question with the community is, that the official narrative is these were built with temporary products, what they call plaster of Paris. To decorate all these buildings, used for less than a year or whatever, then all of this they get rid of it all. Now, if that was the case, they were built with temporary materials, how come these are there today?
And why do they all have massive marble statues on top?
Well, they have the same quadriga everywhere, and the same statues, and they're the same people. You know, with Prague, I've seen all of the Phoenician faces that I always recognise on the station, but they were digging it up, working on it. And literally, I put it on a video. Man, it blew my head off.
And there's cherries everywhere, Martin. There's cherries as well, all over Prague. There's little cherries in stone, which are like, and that's like
best.
That's the top.
Where they'd knocked all the buildings down that were part of the World's Fair in Prague, there was the new area of building that was built, I think it was from 1906. They all had these statues randomly just shoved in the front of them. It's like they've reclaimed the statues, they've saved the statues and put them onto the new buildings that were from 1906. And underneath where they'd knocked the buildings down, when I was doing my research on like the Google Earth thing, I kept clicking on what I thought was a road or these little points. It kept sending me down into tunnels.
Underground.
So all where there's just parks, and you can see where buildings used to be because the grass has not grown in squares, like massive.
Yeah.
Right. And the what was it with skate park as well, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like
yeah.
marble flooring and
they
a
had a skate
park.
park right at the pinnacle. We had to climb up flights and flights of stairs to go up there. These big marble grand stairs.
But they've just turned it into somewhere where teenagers are going to graffiti. It was an absolute mess. And if you didn't know what was supposed to be there, you wouldn't even go anywhere near it.
Yeah, it's crazy that in there.
There's like thousands of pounds worth of
And all the
granite
broken
and marble
the
and stuff
broken
like that.
blocks as well. When we were walking back down,
Yeah.
were just the whole
And
verge
none of the trees
was made out of broken buildings.
None of the trees are that old either. That are there in their park.
So yeah, I'm guessing you all know that they had electric pavements in the exposition in Paris.
Yeah, like an airport.
Well, yeah, you just take your
Travelators.
Yeah.
Travelators, absolutely gorgeous. And like I said, these places are just museums. Each, all the different types of time.
To be fair though, Martin, you mentioned the travelators. The size of these sites, that would be a relief if you had a travelator from walking around.
You'd be knackered. Imagine walking over to where that big wheel is.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
So
what
if
we
you
did
found
in
a
Prague.
travelator, you'd be like, well, yeah, we walked.
We could have done without in
Just
Prague.
think about what we're saying though, because if they try to build something like that today, imagine the cost of putting a
Yeah.
travelator under the ground just to get peasants along the street. Like
That's what I mean.
that would be a major undertaking.
And with no heavy machinery, Lance.
Oh yeah, and everything you see in this picture, except for the big antenna in the middle of the picture, is gone. Everything is gone, including the people. Everyone you see in that picture is dead.
Look at this green. Look at this green spire on the left. Look at on top of that. It's like
Well, yeah, because they're copying basically the churches of Moscow. Like they replicate. It's like a museum where they show you what different cultures look like, and these people go there and they learn. It's basically like mental engineering for these people. So
Re-education.
I like how you describe the Eiffel Tower as an antenna.
Well, what else is it? It was used for that anyway.
a massive dick.
There was Antiquitech on the bottom here, as you can see, the zigzaggy bits on this first level, and little sort of aerials coming off. But apparently, metal burns because there was a restaurant fire in here, and the whole fucking thing went up. And the next thing you know, by 1920, all of this decoration on this first level is completely gone and gone in the modern day. Antiquitech, basically, guys.
I've got a lyric. It says this realm rotates in a cycle. Masons build towers like Eiffel on vortex points that will drain your vital. And that's really the same thing. You're saying that
Harvesting tool.
a harvesting tool.
They know
Wow.
the game, the Freemasons, because everything in their ethos. I know it's hermetics and stuff, but they do know about the reset of civilization, and it's called Freemasonry because they.
Well,
found-
isn't the sigil on their 33rd degree a phoenix?
Yeah, you got it. They know about this place. They do. I know it because it's all in our contemporary music. Like, there's so many bands that just talk about this reset system in nearly every fucking track. It's hard to even imagine, like Talking Heads, Road to Nowhere. Just talks about, and you may find yourself living in a beautiful house with a beautiful woman. And you may ask yourself, how did I get you? And it's the reset of civilization over and over again. He talks about water below, water above. Queen, Under Pressure, the pressure system. He talks about people living on the streets. If you listen to Under Pressure, he's talking about the reset of civilization. They know, and they put it, the Tavistock put it into contemporary music. So, Led Zeppelin did it, and Black Sabbath did it. So it's underlying. That is why it's edgy when you listen to music. Oh, why do I feel like this? It's because deep down you know that this place gets reset, cyclical resets. Who we are, I wouldn't put it down to I wouldn't undermine humanity in any bit of anything, but I really do think this. I think that there's only a certain amount of players in the game. I really do. I think there's only a few people here that manifest this, and I really do think the rest of it is just the show.
I like this lady. Sorry, Mike. I like this lady in the bottom left. She's bright yellow, and everyone else is like dingy black.
Yeah, but
maybe she's an errant.
Not the picture. You don't know if that's the original colour.
No, I know, but I'd like to think it was. The same as this woman with the pink umbrella here. I'd like to think they're errants.
And
just
that
like going
purple
against the
umbrella.
system. Everyone else is mourning.
Yeah,
And
everyone
they're
else is
black,
NPCs. Those are
maybe
real sentient
they're
meat
errants.
suit operators.
Yeah.
Right, another problem with this picture is this, is the size of the Eiffel Tower. Now, I've posted about this regularly and shown many, many examples of how big is it really? Because these people are underneath it, right? They seem small, maybe it looks at maybe 100 foot there, but literally there are people parachuting off here. And in the modern day, there's a 6-lane highway that goes under here and all shops and shit. And I can't believe that. It just looks like a completely different Eiffel Tower, unless the people are a lot bigger.
Yeah, I've stood under the Eiffel Tower. It seems a lot bigger than it's shown in that photo.
Yeah, really. It's so
Yeah, much
I've
bigger.
never been. I've
Yeah,
never been
it's
to
quite
see
a thing to stand
that
underneath
don't
the Eiffel
look that
Tower.
high, does it, from there to there, really?
No.
I know we're at an elevation here, look, because he's looking down, so that cuts a bit of it off, maybe on a roof or something, but still.
Well, I remember walking around one of those feet to try and find the entrance to go up, and it took 10 minutes to walk around one of the feet.
Really?
Yeah.
He's adding the feet, aren't they? They got these little
Yeah.
thingies.
Yeah, you had a whole queuing system within the footprint of the foot, like a zigzag queue, like you get at Disneyland or something, just to get
Footprint
up
of
into.
the foot.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I was the only person since Roman days that got caught nicking in the Colosseum. Now I did this on purpose because the guy who came after me, he wanted to like run down like all official narratives on me concerning the Colosseum. So I put him right.
Did you teach him a lesson?
Well, I'm Welsh. What am I going to do, bro? You know. So there's that Antiquitech I talked about. It's all gone. All of these pointy bits you see on the restaurant level there, all gone in the modern day. So
What's right on the tip of it, Martin?
An antenna in the modern day, aerials.
What about back then when this?
Well, in World War II, it was wired up as a radio communication by the Nazis when they occupied Paris. So I know that much. But further back in time, you can see loads of images again struck by lightning. Like, can I go back to the Frankenstein thing again?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're electrical beings, you know. We are animated, you know. We are souls, and we are made of electric. Our friend's electric. And this thing was gathering large amounts of electric. You know, what is it doing with the electric that it's gathering? Is it for just street lightning? See, I think that, you know, there's a thing going on that I posted about so many years ago now, it seems like, but I proposed that this was a circuit board. The whole thing was engineered to provide energy for somewhere else, almost as if the whole human experience was for something else to enjoy. And, you know, it's like free will. Have we really got free will? Because we haven't got fucking free will of the mechanisms of our human body.
Well, we have got free will but there's going to be consequences if we do certain things.
Well, that's my life all over. I'm always paying for the actions of my consequences of my actions.
Aren't we all?
Yeah, of course.
The victim of your own free will.
Yeah, but, you know, it's which side of history you're going to die on. You know what's going on. I know what's going on. We know the game. It's just like it is. The beast we've been watching grow for so long, guys. And I've been watching it grow and thinking, well, this is the time now, guys. If we don't do something now, it's going to be on top. Well, it well and truly is now. And
it's already captured. I think it's already captured.
Yeah. So something, you know, really miraculous is going to have to happen for everybody to stop being such pussy and get, you know, and stop doing what they're told, because all everybody really wants to do is just get on with their lives, don't they? You know, safe and stuff.
Want to be left alone, Martin? Want
to be left alone. Mind thy own business. You mind your own business. You carry on, you boo, and I'll do me. That's about it, isn't it? No, everyone's in a, you know,
33 million people in Britain are mentally ill. No, but not.
Thank you, Piers Morgan.
Well,
this is a colourful pick,
though, isn't it? You know, people. I've known people that were Cervantes and that were, you know, that are just act like they're a bit mental, but actually deeply. You know, I got one mate. He's just completely scatty. You can't even talk to him, but you want to see. He's one of the most talented artists I've ever seen. It makes you want to cry. So there's like, you know, what is insanity? It's just different people, and they're all just trying to survive. You know, we're just immortal souls passing through this place, trying to navigate it, trying to learn. You know, what we can learn, take on board what we can take on board, you know, use our, you know, discernment skills of what's real, what's not, and then construct, you know, a narrative for ourselves to be able to do this. How much of that narrative? I'm finding out the stuff I believed 5 years ago, I now think of shit. And how could I even think? I look at me 5 years ago, I'm like, look, God, look at me, I'm such a noob. You know?
Yeah, we've all been there with that, mate.
You know, I don't know anything. So, you know, imagine what we will find out, though, about this reality. Because that's what I want to, you know, that's my questions, is what is this shit? What is this place? What are we in?
Yeah, see, look at this image you've put up here.
Martin.
Look at the guy, look at everyone's clothing. It doesn't match the architecture.
No, because the clothing is all like monotone, dark, austere.
It just doesn't match the location.
There's nothing ornate about the people.
No.
But that's happening again. If you notice, the colours disappearing out of the fashion just since recent years, and everyone's just in bland, colourless stuff. You know,
Not
like
just that.
years ago, it was psychedelic colours and beautiful colours.
Yeah, and everybody's got crushed grey velvet and grey. They're painting their
Everyone's
houses
painting
grey.
their houses grey, yeah, and like, yeah.
Well, there was a big thing. There was a big trend in the last couple of years of everyone that had like those sort of sporty hatchbacks, getting them done in the most dull gunship grey in a matte paint.
Silver or white. You know, most cars are silver now, or white or red. But there's no really trippy, nice colours like they used to have back in the day. You know, iodized and anodized.
It's like all the roadmen that shop at JD. They all wear black. All the tracksuits that are being made for you. You go into like Sports Direct, everything is white, black, or navy blue.
Yeah.
That it's very difficult to buy any other colour. And that's just like your average peasant wear that most people are buying.
Well, I usually just like go searching for like certain. I'll dream about a shirt and then have to quest for it and then intend it. I usually do that because none of my clothes go with contemporary thinking. Everything in that picture there, except for that bridge there, is gone in 100 years. And do you know what they replaced it with? A field of nothing. They just taken it away and replaced it with a field of nothing.
There's like castles and mansions and palaces there, and it's all just gone.
Another interesting thing is the entire centre of Paris got more or less destroyed in 1871 in what they call the Franco-Prussian War. But I think it was just another name for what they call one of these wars, which I think was a war on Tartaria. And I think the war on Tartaria is still ongoing. You know, the ethos and the way people are in Tartaria, I think that the Tartarian people were Gnostic. I think that they were spiritual, highly spiritual. I think that they were ascended beings. I think that they could be using their mind, psychic abilities, limited food, even if they needed food, symbiosis with nature, talk to animals, all of that going on. I think this was the people we were. And you know how I know that? Because of the architecture that they were producing. It takes like
a different type of being.
Well, there's so much science, gone into Fibonacci sequences locked into the structure of these, how are they knowing about all of that?
They've put their love into it. They've put their soul into it.
Yeah, it makes them living buildings, especially with the Gothic cathedrals that were apparently built by monks with copper chisels. But then you find
it kind of makes you ashamed, doesn't it? From what we're doing now.
How low the bar has gone.
Yeah,
and how everyone's settled for it.
It's not their fault. They brought in this thing called modernist mystique or something or other. Well, when you go to college and you learn about architecture, they push this bland modernism, and nobody.
Everything's square.
Yeah, nobody can have individual.
All right angle. Everything's right angles. Sharp right angles.
It's even happening in tattooing though. Because that's what I do, and I put absolutely everything into it, and it's try and make things as realistic as possible. And you get the new trends are just like fine line, basic kind of. I'm not saying that no effort goes into it. This is sounding really bad, but they're just so simple.
It's more like a diagram than a piece of art.
And people are just collecting tiny little stamps all over themselves
rather than
investing
in
in a full piece that takes hours. People want a full back piece in 2 days.
Wow.
People just want stuff fast. They're not bothered about the quality. Obviously there's still people out there who do like go for hours and hours and hours on one piece, but the vast majority of clients now, they just cover themselves in random shit. And everybody seems to have lost that patience.
Yeah.
For the artist to create something.
You think the amount of time it takes to build some of these structures, as opposed to how quickly you can knock up a square box or like we build these days.
Yeah.
Like to do the intricate
quantity over quality, and they don't have the patience for it.
Yeah, but everything they built now has got to be rebuilt not in the near future, because the upkeep on these buildings are falling apart like. Literally, they'll build.
Earlier in your earlier in the presentation, you said that this architecture had been they thought about resets when they were designing this architecture. I'd say that they're still thinking about resets when they're building this architecture
well, they're
these
not thinking
days,
of the future.
but in a completely different way.
Yeah, but when I did my research on Burnley, the market hall was from 1870, they said. And they knocked it down in 1966, and they had to use explosives and all sorts of stuff to try and get this building down because the walls at the base were 6 foot thick, and it was just a market hall in a tiny town. It makes
They
absolutely
essentially had to
no
blow it
sense.
up.
They had to blow it up to try and get rid of it.
Because it was built so strong,
Yeah,
so
that's what I
substantial,
mean.
so permanent that Well,
And it was beautiful as well.
Okay, well, yeah, right. So what I've been thinking, all of this damage that has been happening with American cities, because as far as I, when I started looking into American city fires, I looked online and there was fucking nothing. I mean, there was one documentary by the Smithsonian or something. There was no information on it. So I started digging, and what I found blew my head. I thought, what? All of them? It's almost as if a world war had happened and they never told anyone about it. So these are some of the things. I can't substantiate whether these are authentic, but there are some evidence of laser beams coming out of the sky and causing fires in places like Maui or Paradise, as you know, in California. Now, what we found in the cities that I just showed you, including World War II devastation as well. If you look at Berlin, you can't see hardly any craters. They're supposed to have had 1 million bombs dropped on it. You'll see craters, but all of the buildings are still intact, but they're empty. The cores are gone, but the building's still intact, the stone. What did that? So all of the trees, posts in San Francisco, all exactly like this. Everything falls in its footprint, almost as if it's been hit from above. The same MO for, I guess, you could say World Trade Center, because, some of that, you could see it was like computers just cut in half, like some fucking laser that cut it in half or something. And the 1871 major Chicago fire, huge architecture like this, literally incinerated. You can see it's burnt and it's crisp. This is stone. What kind of heat would produce that?
there was a wooden lamp telegraph pole stood there.
Oh yeah. There's wooden. You see this with all of these. I'll show you some more images.
That's just like what we were seeing, because on this show we covered Maui. We did a whole Maui special. It was 4 hours long, and we cross-referenced it with a lot of we called these events UCEs, unexplained combustible events, right? So we looked at the other ones that had happened in America, like in Paradise that you've shown, other parts in Los Angeles, and the one common denominator was that the what would appear to be the target buildings were decimated or burnt to a crisp right within their footprint, and then they'd be surrounded by a circle of trees that had survived. And then on the other side of the trees, there'd be another decimated building. So this fire was allegedly jumping over the top of trees, not even scorching the leaves. The leaves were still green. But we've got examples of it here. We've got wooden poles stood there intact, while stone or granite buildings all around them are decimated.
Yeah, extreme heat. Yeah, it all flows through. No problemo to wood poles. So in World War I, maybe surprised to know if you didn't know, there was a scourge of Zeppelins that came over with high energy beams coming from them, like this one here in 1940 in the First World War, that would incinerate buildings from a high energy beam, just like what I'm showing you with San Francisco. With them balloons, is it not a great leap of the imagination to think, this is only a few years over 1906. They got the Zeppelins incinerating the Custom House and the City Hall here in Calais in the First World War.
Holy potato! Look at this, Andy PG. Mountain
Michael?
Dew coming from a Zeppelin. Can you just go back to the previous slide, Martin?
That's a newspaper. There was a
Zeppelin brings death and destruction.
About this particular Zeppelin caused a lot of demolition.
So this is like the pre-satellite, if we all believe in that. Jew.
Well, the whole thing.
Not to be confused with Jew.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. DEW.
So yeah, Fache's technology, EM technology is what I say is happening here, and the whole thing, the sausage of it, is to me, it's a Fache's. If you don't know about that, I can explain a little bit to you.
Yeah, go into that, mate.
Yeah, I can explain a little bit of that to you next after this. So yeah, more cuttings, newspaper. See this, yeah? Just and zapping towns from above, and not a cannon bombardment by artillery. but from above, which makes perfect sense. If they got the blue, why wouldn't you fucking use it? Yeah, of course. This one was a scourge that they shot down. It fell down and come down in a whirl.
Is that mid falling down, or was it stuck like that?
No, man, they shot it down. They managed to get one down.
No, but I mean, as this photo was taken, is that as it was falling down, or did it stop and
No, it's
sit
stuck
there?
there. Look,
No,
these
that's
guys are
not-
chilled out. If that was falling down, you would like this dude in the boat underneath it wouldn't be just so
Well, that's
relaxed.
what I'm saying, but it's a balloon. Surely it would have collapsed.
Yeah, but it's got a rigid structure.
No, it's got a steel structure inside.
Yeah. It's
And they
like a
use
rib,
around it
Ri-
like a
rigid,
hotel.
inflatable.
Yeah.
You know, the gas that they use, if it was hydrogen lift, they're in canisters to do the lifting, and the rest of it is empty space for you to walk around. They have hotels in these things. So we suggest that they just come in, they couple off on these things, sure, okay, and you just step down, because all of these and the columns you see.
This
like
is their docking
station.
procedure. Yeah.
Yeah, for balloons. This is Paradise, or I think it is. No, this is
It's not,
Shout out to
it's
Jim
not
Jeffries.
paradise anymore.
Yeah, what an irony. No, that some people reported, because there was something they said, they reported in the papers, the Great Chicago Fire, of some sort of disc or something in the air.
No way.
In the city, yes way. But isn't it not like beyond the bounds of possibility that this thing was actually a Zeppelin?
I wonder. That's what I was going to say. I wonder how hard it would be to make a different shaped blimp.
Well, not
But,
bad.
let's
Well,
be
there you
real.
go.
This is many, many years before the archetype of the flying saucer was even brought to the mainstream consciousness.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking 1940s, 1950s when the flying
Yeah.
saucer was a known thing and it was put into the peasant brain. That was from 1871.
Yeah, 1871. It's craziness, isn't it?
Holy potato.
I know. So, fasces and cymatics. Okay, the science of this. Now, I literally wrote a book on this subject, my first book, decoding what I thought the fasces was, and it's the most important weapon in history, and it is this thing here. You see it all over architecture, and this somebody have just knocked one up, and it's copper pipes, and they're bound with either copper or brass. Okay, and what that would do would create a charge. You see it all over with an axe attached. Now, they do say in the official narrative the Romans used to use it as an execution tool, so it's a weapon, but I can't imagine holding this big load of bundles together to try and chop someone's head off. Makes no sense. This thing's called the Labrise. It actually does lunar patterns, believe it or not. But anyway, back to these. So there's loads of things in our reality which are to do with the fasces. Fasces was adopted by Mussolini and the fascists. Fasces, so the word fascist comes from fasces. Also fasciae in the body, human fasciae in the feet. Faggots, like you have faggots and peas. They are all bundled together when you look on top. Fags. Why do they call them fags? Well, they look all sticks bundled together. So there's loads of things that are associated with fasces, and they tell us about it on the coins. Eagle, wings open. I've established that you will not see an eagle with its wings closed at all on any iconography, because eagle wings open means active charge, EM charge. So they're all over columns.
So no shit. The stat that I pointed out earlier about the statues on top of the pillars, they all
Wings
had
open.
open wings. Yeah.
Yeah, and on top of it again, wings
Yeah,
open.
yeah.
I've got evidence of an electromagnetic experiment that was taking place, and it was two magnets with a jar full of iron filings, and it showed angels' wings, man. It showed wings of a creature. So that's what the analogy and the allegory was with that stone. These are uranium rods, and they are identical to the fasces. So is it not conceivable that they're not actually emitting like dangerous uranium that kills everyone apparently, or that this fasces electromagnetic energy radiating that is heating the water that is driving these nuclear power stations, and it's nothing to do with so-called radioactive products. This was a laser that I literally lost. But again, it is a laser, electrified light. This is what you get coming up. What I think of is the North Pole hole, what you would interpret as the Northern Lights. That's all the Northern Light is. It's electrified light. This thing is a laser, but it's also identical to fasces. There's two sides. Excuse me?
I was going to say the Aurora Borealis It sounds suspiciously like Ouroboros.
This is a holographic construct.
Thanks, Jason.
No shit. Look. Something in
It's
there.
awesome.
And that literally looks like the handle of a lightsaber.
It's awesome.
Again, the lightsaber. It looks just like a fascia. No shit. I know. It's craziness. But there's two sides to technology. There's a good side, church windows, organs, church organs. There's got time to go into. But,
Lance, do you really need 5 lighters over there?
Sorry, mate. Sorry.
Cheers.
so you never have too many lighters. Because somebody always waltzes off with a lighter.
That's why I've got 5.
That is apparently the undersea cable that linked America to Europe under the Atlantic Ocean, laid by the Great Eastern and Brunel ship. And apparently they laid that on the Atlantic Ocean all the way from Cornwall to Newfoundland, apparently. And it looks exactly like a fasces. And inside you can see, if you keep a look on the inside, you see a geometric pattern. Well, you'll see that repeated in church windows, which I will show you. This pattern here. So that's the length of that cable, which is also, I believe, to be fasces technology, not dissimilar to fiber optic technology. Now, church windows, rose windows, okay, they have been altered, the glass in them over the last few years, especially since Victorian era. They changed the narrative because the real story was in the real stained glass, the real history. So they replaced a lot of them in the Victorian era, but they are based on cymatic patterns. You're all aware of a cymatics experiment, surely?
Yep.
And they're all charged at a different frequency, 432, 555, or whatever the frequency is. And as you can see here, cymatic frequencies of human vowel sounds. And here, cymatic frequencies of human DNA, piano notes. And church windows are based on them. And they're trying to get us to believe that monks that, read Bibles all day and chisel with copper chisels had the know-how to make cymatic patterns into church windows. Now, why would they do that into rose window? Is that the organs inside would emit a frequency out into the ether for beneficial purposes. Okay, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Vibration.
When you say beneficial purposes, Martin, like I've read articles and stuff about people saying that this is for healing purposes.
Okay, I believe that Antiquitech held this realm in place. I think the beautiful architecture and the Antiquitech itself held this realm in place. I feel that since they took it off, Linus all got the shit. They're sorry now, and now they're putting up these new technologies, which are the same as the old technologies that I was just mentioning. You know which technologies I'm talking about, new EM technologies, to try and save the realm, because the sun is basically changing, isn't it? And the web's got poo. So something is afoot, and they're not building for a future, so they know something, and they're haphazard way with humanity. You can all stay in now and reflect for a year. And all of these weird things that you would never dream in your wildest dreams 10 years ago could ever happen are happening. And it's stranger than that, because after all that weirdness, it's just got a lot stranger, hasn't it?
Yeah.
A lot.
At a very accelerated rate.
At a very accelerated rate. Star forts. Everywhere in the world. I'll show you a brief video in a minute, show you how many of these are worldwide. Thousands. But they are based on fractal geometry, the true geometry of how this place works, counter to, quantum mechanics. The real fractal geometry. So this is a highly advanced science put into what they call citadels. Now, I don't think that these initially had anything to do with military affairs. I think that they were put there by that previous civilization, and I think these were part of that circuit code conduit that needed to energy, because the humans here, we as people, we can electrical beings, we give out up to 2,000 volts of electricity at our peak, which is around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, if you have 20,000 people in a glass and metal building, 20,000 people easy in a skyscraper in America, okay, all working in their offices, all giving off that electricity, okay, electrical charge, it goes into the ether. That's why you feel an atmosphere change in a nightclub. That's the electrical charge changing. Electricity is biodirectional. So I know you're getting electricity from your plug, but it can also suck electricity away. We could be producing electricity in vast amounts of it. Everyone in their offices, everyone doing their day for somewhere else, maybe somewhere outside the ice wall, because this place literally seems like we're doing something for everybody else. They say 1%, but I think it's something else. And it looks like that this whole place, has been a quarry in the past, and now it's just like haphazard, don't really give a fuck about us. We just, the slave class and all of this going down. I don't think that was always the case, but that's this middle bit. If you think about the flat Earth, that's what's going on in this middle bit.
Like a battery.
Like a battery.
Can I just stop you there, Martin?
Yeah.
Do you ever watch the show Rick and Morty?
Yeah, of course I do.
Right, okay, this is something I bring up on the show many, many times. There's a particular episode of Rick and Morty where Rick has a contraption, which is a battery that has a microverse inside of it.
A microverse.
And inside the microverse is a whole civilization of people, or they're actually little green men or whatever, and they're pumping something called the Flugelstepper, and they're told by Rick, their god, inside the microverse, they need to keep pumping the Flugelstepper to produce the electricity to power their universe, but he's siphoning off the electricity to power his car. Then the people inside the microverse work out the microverse technology and build their own battery so they don't need to step on Rick's Flugelstepper. Do you know the episode that I'm talking about?
I don't know that one.
Mate, this is one of the
I'm
best.
fully up to speed, yeah. I'm fully up to speed. It's infinite.
And they keep going inside, and it's like a battery within a battery within a battery. And whenever we talk about these subjects, I always hark back to this episode because it's like they're putting it right in your face.
Oh, they do. They do. They tell us with all of these Marvel things what's going on, I reckon. This is, if you don't know what somatics are, this is sound, being able to see sound, basically. You see that?
Yeah.
Is this salt, Martin, that they're using here?
Yeah. Oh, it's like a white sand, actually.
Sand.
I tried the same thing with buying violins.
This is just like having a massive hit of
This
DMT.
is like a consumer available table they've now built this into. You can buy this table.
Yeah. And it interprets the sound in somatic patterns. It is absolutely fantastic that they're doing that. So, excuse me.
Nice little time tunnel you've created there.
It's like almost like a battery within a battery.
Yeah. A screen within a screen within a screen.
So also, another part of this subject is Antiqua Dead, because I don't think that they're finished with us after we die, at all, actually. Let me just show you what I mean. Am I back? Yes.
Are they not like composting people now?
Antiqua Dead, yeah. So there's apparently 18 million people under the Paris catacombs, okay?
So they are composting people.
Yeah, but when you...
Yeah, you can pay to be composted now.
You can pay to be composted now, yeah.
Yeah, you can. I haven't thought about what they're going to do with me. I don't want to do any weirdness with churches, so I'm out of that. So, I don't know.
You don't want to be buried in a box either. Imagine being stuck in a box for eternity.
Yeah.
I always thought about cremation, but now they're pushing that so hard. I wonder why that's become so. Well, I know why it's become so popular. So you can't do an autopsy after the Soviet Union. That's why cremation became so popular in the last 4 years.
Look on the bright side. There might be a plasma reset, and that would be nothing to worry about then.
Everyone will be cremated.
My grandmother always wanted that. She used to say, "Oh, I hope there's a nuclear war so we can all go together." I thought that was right.
Oh, how sweet!
Sweet as well.
You're errant, which means you're a problem.
I know.
Instant worldwide cremation for everyone. Total
We're
equality.
We're all errants anyway. We're going to get sucked into the earth. And
you don't die anyway. There's no such thing as death. And your soul will just be zapped out of here into the next avatar and do it again. Listen, there's no such thing as death. We just pass him.
Mate, I'm not coming back here again, Martin.
And you don't know. You might come back.
No chance, mate. I'm done with this place. I'm telling you now. We've all had enough. I think we can all agree on that.
Well, there might be
all 460 peasants tuned in.
It might be a nicer place then, I reckon.
No.
There's got to be a better simulation than this. Once you've completed this one, you go to the better level.
You want to see what's in my head, guys? That's a great simulation, let me tell you.
Right, the catacombs.
Yeah, so I found evidence, apart from the weird sigils that they put into them, there's endless catacombs that they bricked off, full of dead skeletons. But what happens is they stack them, all these bones, one on top of the other. Now, bones are essentially batteries. What you get with them is you get a sealed chamber, knobbles on the end, okay, and in the center you get a core, very much like a battery, with stem cells, raw DNA, the marrow inside. Now, there's an effect that happens. You can Google it yourself. If you press human bones together, okay, they release a piezoelectric charge. So if you have
I'm sorry, what?
a piezoelectric charge, if you've got an electric lighter, put your finger on the end, light it, and it shocks your finger. That's a piezoelectric charge.
I just burnt my finger. Fuck.
So if you stack human bones, they will emit this.
And some of these catacombs, like I've shown evidence of them wrapped and bonded in cables and wire, and then they're going up into the ceiling.
Let me tell you, unbelievable.
The ends of them look very much like the bobbly bits on the top of churches as well.
Knobbly bits, as you know.
So that's what I was going to mention this, because I point this out literally every time we see a Tartan building to Becky.
bit.
I say that I call them energy ether harvesting novels, because they're in all the buildings, even in Cambodia, in London, literally in Prague, they're everywhere, all the same. And I know it has to be symmetry for the system to work, but they've all got these same knobbly bits, and it emulates what we use today with the electricity pylons with like little knobbly bits on them. It's the same shit.
Nodules.
I think it's all. I think they got free energy. Me, I think they're just like, you know, they weren't.
I've speculated that all these massive pylons that they build are just harvesting energy, and then they just charge us for it when it's actually free.
Off wind turbines is not through electricity. I can assure you that. They just
not the wind turbines.
Correct. So I think they're just burning off electric, and them cables or the electrical pylons that go everywhere, they look suspiciously like they could gather the energy themselves. Maybe
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And then they charge us for it. It'd be a great business model.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's definitely something they do. Listen, they're conning us on loads of things. Watch my show tomorrow, man. I tell you what, this is just like an investigation. I don't even know.
I must say, right, I knew they were catacombs. I had no idea that the bones were packed in that tightly. That looks like they've literally made a bone matrix.
Well, yeah, but he's still taking them in there in the late 1800s. Yeah, the official now, these geezers.
This guy looks highly Amish.
Oh, listen, the Amish. I seen him like literally watch a video the other day of all the Amish boys lifting a house and walking up down the road with it. I thought, but it was on a mobile device. I thought, like, they got mobile devices. They have technology. I'm not sure if but they nailed it, haven't they? They're not even bothered about stuff.
Yeah, no, they exited Clown World hundreds of years ago, and they're looking at us like a bunch of dorks. Like, what are these lot doing? Look at the state of them.
Living in an Amish paradise.
Oh yeah.
All my life living in a and the guy's like chewing in the butter. Yeah, it's so mad.
The can of butter.
Yeah, it's in the butter, man. It's an important thing of daily Amish life. So look at this shit. Somebody went through a lot of effort to place them.
Yeah, they did.
Paris. And Paris is a spooky, weird place, so I definitely think that would be them.
Can I just ask a question? And I don't know if you can answer this. This is like a peasant's advocate question. When you fill up a catacomb, that you don't fill them with bodies, with flesh on them, it's bones. Where do you get the bones from? Do you go to graveyards and dig up all the bodies?
I don't know, but they boil the bones.
Clean the flesh off
They
them.
boil the bones and clean them off, but I wouldn't like to speculate where they sourcing
In
these from.
Kutnahora, though, there's the bone church in Kutnahora, and according to the official story, they had a plague there, and they had to dig up all of the bodies that were already buried so that they could make room for all of these plague victims. And the bone church in Kutnahora, apparently it was one monk that arranged all of these bones, and he's like made like a massive what's it called, like family crest kind of thing out of the bones, and the skulls and crossbones hanging from the ceiling in like garlands, like bunting made of bones.
There are multiple
It's
cultures
crazy.
that still practice they keep the dead bodies. This is in Europe and in places in South America and Asia where it's a custom to dig up your dead relatives and clean the bones.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Right here, right now, is where we draw the line.
A bit like Norman Bates, you mean?
Yeah, that's where obviously
Thank you, Greta.
where he got the inspiration from.
So just want to draw your attention to this is supposed to be under Paris, the catacombs. Can you see the size on the stone in these places?
Yeah.
And how did this get built there? If it's deep under Paris, yeah, there's this massive underworld. I think the same is for all cities. I think there's a massive underworld underneath all of them, and I think that they're using the dead as a technology. Have you ever heard of moored cages? But Antiquitech sort of railing affairs put on graves, apparently to like a cage over a grave in the Victorian era.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say that they are in case like a werewolf or that they change it to a vampire. If you look into it, it's like, well, that makes no fucking sense. So there's a reason why they're putting this, this trellis work. I think it's somewhere along the lines of maybe like a Faraday cage. Maybe there's something wrong with the people that are in there.
I wanted one of those over my grave, just so that people ask questions. That's cutting horror. That one just
that's it. Yeah. So
That's
what a
kind of
trippy thing to do. There's a few of these. I was in Portugal 2 weeks ago, and this guy was telling us there's a church where it's all lined with skulls. Look at this, though, skull and crossbones,
Yeah, those are hung like bunting all across the whole church. It's a really, really tiny church. Yeah, that's the full crest.
So they're still
Apparently,
doing
one monk did all this.
We're still stacking them the same way. It's like these bones. It's like where's the skulls for all these bones? Must be in a different pile. They're all jumbled up. It's going to be weird if there's like a zombie Armageddon. These fuckers are not going to know where their arms and legs are. They're just going to grab anyone's.
Well, just imagine the job of
where did all the finger bones go?
Cleaning all those bodies, collating all those bones.
It's a bit of a science. Somebody mentioned boiling bodies, so it's not as easy as that. Apparently, there's a bit of a science to cleaning up these Scanningtons to be presented like that. So I've looked into. Philip Dracinin, I talked to him about it, and he said that he's seen evidence of some scrapes and like some sort of suggested cannibalism. Just to check that out there. But
yeah, why not?
Sinister look. Little Cherubinowski.
Yeah, that's cutting horror as well, I think.
Yeah. Is it?
I'm pretty sure they had the bunting bones. I think that's cutting horror as well. In Czech Republic.
It is Keski Kalis. Keski's in the Czech Republic. That's,
yeah.
So these are all around the world. They're not just in Paris.
Oh, man, Milan.
This was like a day trip out from Prague that I went 2 years ago.
I went to Castle Krumlov, man. That was amazing. It's like the best preserved medieval town in Europe or something. It was fantastic. I really enjoyed it there. But I stayed in Keski Budovitz, which is like basically Budweiser, because they apparently invented it. So yeah, enough morbidity. There's this chandelier, as you mentioned. Very going on. So yeah, that's pretty pants, isn't it?
So we call this Antiquidad.
Antiquidad. Well, we don't, but it is. It's Antiquidad is now in the Urban Dictionary.
Really?
Yeah, man. But they don't mention me, but it's in there. And
is it your term? Are you taking credit for that?
Yeah, man. I got hundreds of people was there when they come up my gob. And Lee, Flat Earth British Sub, said, yeah, that's fucking genius, but just spell it right. So I had to change the I.
Right.
Instead of an E. But yeah, so it was like, it came from an N, and then like within weeks, everyone was saying it. So yeah.
That's how you change reality, mate. You plant the seed and then the tree grows.
Knobbly bits, also Urban Dictionary.
That's quality.
You don't believe it? I got loads of words in the Urban Dictionary, guys. Yeah, man.
I believe that I actually coined the term the Soviet Union.
Did you?
Yeah, there's a video of me in 2020 chasing those COVID wardens down the street with a GoPro, giving them shit. And I was saying, you guys are like Hitler's brown shirts. And I meant to say, this isn't the Soviet Union. But the word that came out of my mouth was Soviet Union. And live on the camera, I was like, wow, that was good. Let me remember that one. Yeah. But I made a couple of videos chasing those weasels down the street. It's good fun.
So yeah, there could be some sort of DNA program, some sort of splicing program out of labs underground. Jason Shirley mentioned real estate underground. You know this.
Yep.
But there's a process called, in the alchemical days, called homunculus.
Yes, I love this subject.
Yeah. So they're apparently creating in vials creatures, in this case a three-headed dragon or what have you. But you can see them making children. So what if they were doing some weird alchemy in test tubes, creating out of maybe different animals? And like, look at these two, mother and father, okay, in alchemical terms, and a human in a vial. But look at their feet underneath. Like dragon's feet, you see?
Or maybe like a chicken or something.
Right,
A big chicken.
That's so weird.
It is so weird, but the alchemical world is so weird. So can you imagine, right, that, they're doing this, they are like, there's enough movies like The Matrix, he's in pods, isn't he, his pod life. And maybe that's the case, that we came out of these things, Adam and Eve, and that's where we came from. And alchemical process of, infants, and it is very synonymous with orphan trains, if you don't know about that. I could probably share some of that with you.
Yeah, we got to cover that. We got to cover that as well. I know about the orphan trains, but maybe not all of our viewers are fully up to speed with that.
Okay, well, with the orphan trains and incubators, it's a suspicious thing. Seinfeld's family apparently were treated in these places as well. He was an incubator baby, actually, and some.
That's right. I've seen him talk about it on the talk show.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned it when we did our.
Yeah.
Okay, so imagine the world has been reset, and then there's a new paradigm, and then all of these kids, all in a one-room school with one mistress, telling them dinosaurs and evolution and globes and all of these different theories that they're teaching the children with a one-room schoolroom. But you notice this uniformity that goes on everywhere in the world. Got it, guys. Mexico got a uniform. China got a uniform. Even Britain, because we have the black, like, D-mob suits in Victorian era. Yeah. Everywhere in the world, it's got. Where did they get these fucking clothes? Is there a quartermaster source, or is it really that this, because it's like a movie, that they just go to like costume?
One thing I also noticed, Martin, when I first started to learn about this stuff in 2018, and I was gorging on John Levi videos, it was very obvious that when you see those shots where the streets actually start to have people in and they're all wearing exactly the same thing like you're saying. Yeah. Another thing I noticed was many of them had completely ill-fitting clothes that were 2 or 3 sizes too big for them. Like they'd literally been stood in a line, gone up to a rack of clothes
and been issued them.
Been issued with whatever was there. You look about this size, there you go. And you've got people walking around with sleeves too long and stuff. It's just absolutely bizarre.
Mm. Yeah,
peasants.
Peasants, resetters, inheritors.
So they got these massive buildings outside most cities, out of the way of the cities, but huge, what they call asylums, sanatoriums, and they house children and who have no parents, and they were called orphanage asylums, like they, mentally ill or something. And the orphanage asylum here, people come along and they just buy a child. And same for the delivery system that was with the orphan trains as well.
Or win them at raffles at the World Fair as well.
Yeah, well, I think Auschwitz is one thing, isn't it? Tattooing people, but a nurse using an ultraviolet lamp to stencil initials into a baby's skin. So, just hallmarking the new product that is for a rich person who buys kids.
It's messed up, man.
Well, that's what was going on. This place was being repopulated. Everyone got the fuck killed.
Martin, my auntie and uncle, who are in their 80s now, they moved to Florida in the late 70s. They lived there for 30 years. They had quite a few Jewish friends, and one of them actually said that he came from the orphan trains. He didn't know where he was from, potentially somewhere in Europe.
Yeah.
And he was from an orphan train.
Yeah.
So it's like people there, people still living today.
From wherever.
Yeah. They just had no idea.
Well, you guys, like one narrative I read, 30,000 delivered in a month. So 30,000, 60,000 parents. Where's the parents? It's a lot. To be doing this delivery system and populating cities with rich people purchasing orphans. You got to ask, like, where the fuck is the parents gone? And then there's the spooky incubator thing that they're doing in the expositions. You go into an expositions, they got incubator places where they are like, well, you can think cloning if you want, I don't know, but they're producing these babies and they're kicking them out. Like, apparently in a month, they're getting 6 months growth. They're getting them to toddler age in no time at all with these incubators. I know it's just crazy, but that's
there's a channel called Mind Unveiled.
Yeah, I know.
They've done some really good work on that. I recommend everyone to check out their channel.
Yeah, I know. Is it they? I thought it was him. Are they?
No, there's a couple. It's a guy, and I guess it's his missus because she started to.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, it's only the more later videos she started to narrate as well. I think she just edited the videos before, but yeah, it is a couple.
Yeah. So use these spooky incubators, the child life section. So they grow them up quick, no parents, and then you go into a place like this infant incubator station, and buy a new grown laser stamped baby, and then a lot of them ended up in the mills and working in the mines. But eventually, they came to be the population we know today. But I'm not sure. I think there was a schism in 1902 when Jason said. I think there was a definite edit in this thing because a lot of things just kick off at that era, and the whole of the paradigm just switches from unbelievable creativity to it's just the world took a big shit on itself. Something really bad happened, and the architecture shows you, and that's by design.
Well, the Prague World Fair was 1891, and that was the centennial. That was so earlier than that. There was one in 1791, and me and Andy kind of thought that maybe that was the beginning of, or the height of when they were actually building the buildings that they said that they built for the World's Fair in 1891.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of buildings that are left from the Expositions, which are beautiful classical buildings. There's some left in San Francisco still. But this narrative is just spooky to me, I think to myself, we shouldn't forget about them because something really fucking weird and fucked up happened. They populated Australia with what they call 10 quid babies. People were literally sending their kids off to Australia for a tenner in Britain. Fucking nuts. In the Edwardian times, yeah. I got an advertisement.
Because the official story is that back then people had so many kids and they were so difficult to look after that people just sort of had kids they were trying to get rid of. This one's a bit poorly. He can't work. You can have him.
What about the hideous longevity? Apparently, you had 16 kids because 10 of them were going to die. They can't have it both sides. Either kids ain't lasting or they're lasting. I think they're lasting because the world got madly populated at this period. It like exponentially. Yeah. Did you know? Right. Since 1999. Yeah. There's 1 billion more people here. They say. No, I don't believe that there's anywhere near the population, they say. I think they're all crammed in cities. Soon in America, you go to Texas, there's fuck all forever. Forever. Nothing. Yeah, everyone's crammed in the cities. There's plenty of space. There's no overpopulation. That's just another.
Yeah, anyone that's spent any time flying around the world can see how much infinite space there appears to be with no people in it.
So that's my little bit of a presentation for tonight, gentlemen.
Martin, that was absolutely epic. Now,
there's loads to think about there.
There is loads to think about. Now, let me ask you a question. How long have you been down this particular avenue with the mud flood Tartaria stuff, particularly?
Since about I was doing Flat Earth first from 2015, and then I did that for about 2 years. And I was watching like Wiser and New Earth, and then I got into like mud floods. Started talking about that from about end of 2016.
2016. Right.
I first talked about the Expositions. I can't imagine nobody else, I don't think, did, but I talked about them first in 2016. And then I was talking about old British history, Welsh history, and I was doing, basically, I was Piranesi. And then I found these atlases. I literally got threatening emails about them. But these lead atlases, and I wrote down all the codes for them. I still got the best collection of 1733 lead Van der Haar atlases and engravings, second to none. But they showed you something, and what they showed you was the real history. Oops, not their one. So I started picking them apart for like a few years, but I did it live on YouTube from about 2017 on. I was into the lead atlases, and that's how I come up with like the idea of Antiquitech, is because all of the old Stafford buildings and churches were just like aerials reaching up into the ether. And I was thinking about, electrostatic subjects anyway at that time. Magnetism's my thing. So I just put 2 and 2 together live on YouTube, going through a map of Prague, actually, funnily enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
The reason I've asked this question is because I noticed something in a particular time period, right? Me and Andy, we've been down the rabbit hole for many years. Previously, until the last few years, I thought I'd researched every subject. Now, I noticed something. In 2018, in about mid-November, I set off for my annual tour of Southeast Asia. I emceed the full moon party and stuff like that. So I used to go for like 6 weeks sometimes. Now, I went, and my now wife, my missus at the time, she stayed behind for 2 weeks because she had to do work and stuff, or she couldn't get out at the same time. So I left her here with an ounce of weed and the access to YouTube. And when she met up with me in Thailand, after 2 weeks on her own, just sat there, rabbit holing, as we call it, the adjective, she came to Thailand, met me, and said, "What do you know about this reset and the mud flood?" I said, What are you talking about? And she showed me in a couple of days this absolute huge glut of information that in my reality had actually appeared out of nowhere. I thought that I'd researched every subject that was worth knowing about, but when she showed me all this stuff, I was like, where the fuck has this come from? Now, you're saying I already knew that you were the daddy and the progenitor of a lot of this stuff.
I was in a good place at the beginning of it all because I'm a saver and a collector of books and collections like maps. So when I started talking about it, I was like, fuck me, because I've got my own collection, my own library, but my virtual library is massive. So I just started dipping into my own books, talking about old books. And, the reset is in old books, Charles Fort's Book of the Damned. I'm sure you heard Jason talk about that book. That was a bit of a revelation. There's plenty more. So I started talking about them works, and the reset thing was born from Immanuel Velosovsky, although he's a global believer. And we did talk about compression and plasma reset in his narratives. So that was like an early, sort of, we're not going to say inspiration, but that's where the ideas for this place, because the evidence was everywhere. The antique world is splattered, and something splattered it. No doubt about it. The maps have changed. Why have the maps changed? And then there's all the weirdness with, they lie about the environment we live in. All of the weirdness they give us for cartoons for, NASA, for example, cartoons from space that everyone is supposed to believe. And all of this weirdness with no evidence. You can't go to Antarctica. You can't go to North fucking Pole. You don't know your environment you're in. I feel it's a realm. I really do. And I think it's us that's doing it. I really do. I think it's us.
An interactive realm.
I think it's all his mind. Prove me wrong. And and I know I'm not the only consciousness here because I'm talking to you guys. So you're consciousness too. So and we're all being at the same moment in time, and we're all having different versions of reality, and we're all different consciousnesses, but we're sharing it, aren't we? We're sharing this experience, this perception, but we mold it as we're going. It's like the never-ending story. It's like something that's not true today. We say it, and it's fucking true tomorrow. I'm finding that's what's happening with this story. We literally mold reality with it. It's an amazing thing. And Antiquitech just smashed the world. It's like fucking, we had this like far superior civilization, like just gone. And now we got this shit show. At first people get angry, and then they get like an acceptance that, okay, we were there before, and that's good news because we can get there again, because consciousness is like on its ass at the moment, but I don't think it's always going to be on its ass. I think we're going to lift up and be back where we were. Because like back in the day, it was pretty buzzing, wasn't it? The 90s were pretty fab. And then everything just went like boring and bleh. All of a sudden, black and white fucking movie. It's like, what happened to the colour movie? Or was it?
That's one thing that I did find quite like positive and a little bit uplifting about this line of inquiry in this research, because previously I'd always sort of thought that, the powers that shouldn't be, the Black Cube organisation or whoever they are, had been in quite a tight grip of control for an awfully long time, maybe thousands of years. But when this line of inquiry came up and these revelations, I thought to myself, well, maybe it's quite possible that we've been tricked into believing that. And in the matter of only potentially a couple of 100 years ago, this realm could have been very, very different. And I think you've really showed a lot of evidence of that today in your presentation.
Yeah, well, you got to use discernment, discard anything they tell you, because they're only sending you down a rabbit hole of bullshit. And that's what we've done. All of us together. Jason's done the same. Other people, Campbell, and all the people you mentioned earlier. You know, they've just grabbed an area of this and they've just dove in. Listen, any subject you go into, you're going to find the same thing with, guys. The geology, the fucking, you know, the architecture is obviously of a superior fucking race. And obviously, fucking before this lot of fucking donuts, because all they can build now is shit and produce plastic. It's like, what? It's like, why ain't you using, like, you know, there's loads of things that they could, you know, there's a lattice work from a mushroom that we could use for, like, the new plastic, even the new fuel that they're just developing now. They might go that way. That's just me going on. John Wick, Pamela Swan is saying. Johnny Wick. Anyway, thank you, guys.
No, thank you so much, Martin. It's been absolutely
We've currently
epic.
got 489 peasants tuned in.
And we're just about.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, 491 it says on my one, so a bit more.
Oh, you must be ahead of us. We've got 489 here. So, Martin, mate, that was absolutely epic. I said do a tour de force of those subjects, and you provided exactly what it's on the
There's a
tin.
lot more to it than that, obviously. You know,
That was a great overview, though, Martin, of the whole concept.
So, just to recap, tomorrow you are with Jason.
And then Flatter Day is on as usual, probably a little bit later, maybe 9:30.
What time can people see you with Jason?
I'm not sure yet, 6 or 7. It's only just been confirmed. So I'm going to do a presentation on this, splatter all his people's heads. And then I'm going to do a Flatter Day where I got something ready for everybody. So it's going to be a big night on the scene.
Awesome. Martin, that was absolutely sick. It's obviously midnight here.
Well,
in
hang
the
on.
UK.
We've got 3 minutes left.
All right, 3 minutes.
Should we fire some questions at Martin?
Have you got? I've already been questioning.
Becky, yes, you got Martin Liedtke on the blower here. Do you want to
Last
ask him
chance.
anything?
I've already mentioned this stuff about
Martin, you're flat Earth British, yeah? Should we talk about the shape of the realm quickly?
Yeah, man, go on.
No.
I've got a good question.
Okay,
I've got a
go
good
on,
question.
lads.
Are you aware of a creator on YouTube who's Flemish? He goes by the name. It looks like Godge Verlamast.
Yeah.
And he has the theory that, in line with a lot of what you're talking about, that we're actually within a crater realm.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this guy?
Yeah, obviously I have, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jason hadn't heard of we call him God Badge.
However, Jason has put out on his list of people he wants to talk to.
I want to hear what Martin's got to say.
Go on.
What do you think of his theory about his crater Earth? And because he's talking about this as being a toroidal battery with a counter-rotational.
Yeah, I know what he's saying, mate. I'm well aware of all of these. It's utter bollocks, mate. If you give me proof, any fucking proof that any of this is real, I'll take it on board. Apparently, was on the UN.
Let me tell you.
There's no evidence.
Unbelievable.
I'm just saying, it's just like I require evidence for anything.
Right.
That sounds farcical. That's saying that it's even a physical object when you can't prove it's a physical object, like something you could actually land on. You know, this is like globe mentality. I'm not going there. I think it's all wank. That's what I think. That's just
You're not.
Wow.
He's not down with Badgian theory.
Mate.
Is that too much? No, I ain't.
No,
not
we
at
wanted
all.
your opinion, mate. That's why I asked.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it's all bullshit, mate. But you know, anybody who believes that the Earth's in a crater and it's been reflected on the moon.
What do you personally believe, Martin? Right. So you've got We all know the flat Earth model, right? But do you believe we're on a floating disc?
No.
Correct.
No,
Yeah.
that's all
Okay.
for them, isn't it? That's just bullshit.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
It's 8%. Now, I'll say this, okay? I don't know. But what
For
I
sure.
do know, right, is they can't get high enough to take a photograph. And all of that stuff that they show us with the NASA bullshit is all harnesses and fucking CGI.
Yep.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a fucking genius to work that out. They're lying about what's up there and they're lying about everything else. And there's a big decompartmentalized operation to keep this narrative of dinosaurs and globes alive. Now, what I require is evidence. Now, I'm never going to see a globe because I'm never going to be an astronaut because there's only like 450 that have ever been up. And you've got to be in the official Secrets Act and ex-military and a deep sea diver because it's all done underwater in a pool. Nowadays, you know, they don't have superheroes like Flash Gordon go into space. They have fat blobs go into space. You can't do nothing. Anyway, so it's all, to me, personally, I need evidence, and I was years in the merchant navy, guys, and I never seen any such thing as curvature. But what I did see things is like volcanic islands, 100 miles off, and this is all down to atmospheric conditions and perspectives. So I'm going on my experience in personal life. I've never seen it. There's too much dodginess going on with all the Antarctica, all the maps, all the things anyway. What it is, I don't know. Maybe it's undefined out there, like the 13th floor. Maybe this place is a simulation and just around. Maybe we are the generators, the electricity that generates it. And maybe our consciousness is the software for this place. And it seems to me like we're in some sort of weird movie. It seems to be that we're not doing it for us. And it seems to be like that there's more going on than we could possibly imagine. And that's what I want to get to. I want to know, what the fuck is this place? And what is all of this shit?
Martin, why do you think we can't go beyond Antarctica? What do you think personally that they're hiding? I know this is all purely speculative. None of us
All
have
right,
been there.
well, instinctively, I feel this. I feel there is more land. I think it's all about more land. Yeah, because if we're only in this tiny bit in the middle, how do we know what the fuck's else out there? Let me tell you something. They used to take the Map of Monday round in 1190. Okay, it's the oldest map in the world, and it's in Hereford Cathedral. You can go visit it. But they used to take it on in a box to every town and village in Britain, and they used to present this map, and they used to say, "Look, here's the world," but only it wasn't. Because the Americas or Australia weren't on there, but they still presented it. Well, that's what they're doing to us now.
Yep.
They're presenting the Mercator map. They're saying, look, there's the world we live in. They're presenting it to us. Remember, we haven't got a map, and neither have they. All maps are projections, and none are done accurately. And there is no two. Some say the Gold Peters is more accurate. I don't even fucking know. But apparently, there's no maps. So they present this map for you. This is the world we live in. You know, no. On the Truman Show, they say, you know, he says, I want to be explorer. She says, you can't, because it's all been explored. There's no more to explore. Have you ever seen the film In Time? You ever seen that film?
No. Yeah. We've got the clickers on their wrists.
So they're in the inside bit, but they're not. They haven't got no knowledge of that outside world where the richer people live. Well, I think that's what's going on. I think there's an outside world where the richer people live, the slave class to earn the money, do the electricity, and all of the things that they need to generate their world. Okay, and they're over there. That's the ticket, the golden ticket that they give to David Bowie, that they give to fucking, you know, all of these pop stars.
Michael Jackson,
another one.
Diana.
Off Wham. He was one of, you know, they all go to, he told you, Club Tropicano's drinks are free. Fun and sunshine isn't there for everyone. He's talking about this other place, man. Have you ever heard Safety Dance? They talk about going to this other place. Another place where no one knows.
Do you think, Martin, that other place could be the underworld and not an external extra lands? Do you think the extra lands could be the underworld? And Antarctica's the way to get there?
Very possibly a bit of both, actually, because if you read the book, The Smoky God, okay, it talks a story about this guy, Olaf Johnson, and he goes to the North Pole.
I'm familiar with it. They go on a trek, him and his son.
Yeah, so he says that when he went into that inner world where the giants were, etc., but when he came out at the end of the book, he was in the south. He was in Antarctica. So he went in the north. Yeah, so all of that was, and that corroborates as well the story of the Iron Republic. I don't know whether you're aware of that.
No, I'm not the Iron Republic, no.
Well, that is another underground civilization as well that apparently was discovered. But there could be loads happening underground. I really do think that's the case. And why wouldn't there be? And they must think we're mental. Oh my God, them surface dwellers up there. Have you seen them? They're mental.
Surface peasants. Right, Martin, this has been more than epic, mate. Thank you so much.
We could go on and on all night. We'll have to get you back on, Martin, sometime, because it's been great sorting.
Yeah, there's got to be a part 2, bro. There's got to be a part 2.
There's loads more to chat about.
Right, catch him tomorrow on RKX. Flat Earth British, is it .com? Is that your? Have you got flatearthbritish.com?
Yeah, info, flatearthbritishinfo.com. You find all everything on my video. I'll drop it over in a minute. My website.
Awesome. Right. Once again, thank you very much. And don't forget to rise above.
Rise above, generate.
See you later, Martin.
That was awesome.
Boom. Martin Liedtke Part 1 completed.
He's the man,
that was so good.
Yeah. That was so good. We're all sitting here just processing the download which Martin just provided.
I'm going to re-listen to that.
Yeah, oh no, absolutely. I'm probably going to go upstairs and start re-listening to it right now. Okay, guys, so No live show next week. There will be a broadcast. There'll be a special selection from the archive. So,
However, there will be stuff on Peasantron.
oh yeah, there will be new videos on Peasantron coming. Let me just get some graphics up to finish us off. Don't forget to support us. Why is this? What's going on with my slideshow, Michael? It's frozen.
That's it. It's all about
It's
Martin.
actually just frozen.
Martin's just taken
so
over.
basically, get us on Peasantron. There is exclusive content on there which you will never see on YouTube. The other ways to support us are by going on the Rise Above shop and buying merchandise. People were asking, do we ship internationally? We ship to every part of the holographic peasant realm. Get your merchandise, support Rise Above, buy us a coffee. Sorry, we're both doing QR codes at the same time. So the week after next, there will be another recorded show because we are in Lieberland doing a presentation. And the week after that, we've got Richard Ryder coming to do a special case study on St. Lucia.
Yes, we have.
Which is going to be very interesting. I'm going to press the button.
Don't forget, guys, check out Becky SR and Liberty Silver Designs.
Yeah, Liberty Silver Designs is our official partner. Get your jewellery there. Support your local Ramesh artist.
There's also merch by Becky S.
Yes. All right, guys. See you later.
Thank you.